Welcome to the Friends of Fantasy Benefits Baseball podcast. I am Justin Mason. That is Dave McDonald. Dave, how you doing, my friend?
Doing all right. Just getting our Battle of the Pods draft going and getting the juices flowing because this is my first real draft since I don't really count the first pitch Arizona one where I, drafted in October, weren't really ready for it. So this is the first, when we're actually putting money on the line and, trying to make some things happen.
Yeah, it's how does it feel? I mean, I'm this is my sixth draft of the year, fifth if you don't count the FPAS draft. So I'm kind of a little bit more acclimated to the room right now. Are you feeling rusty? Are you feeling not only is it your first draft, it's you're doing it with a partner, which is always a challenge.
Well, so the funny thing is, Jake is kind of the one who's always opposed to doing things with a partner, but he was the one who. Jake was the one who wanted me to be the partner because he knows that there were so many times that I set our lineup and he completely forgot to do it on time. So he knows that he would forget constantly and probably just fuck it all up. So that's why he wanted me as his partner. But it's been stressful because we have not agreed on much so far. We like our draft so far, but
we're getting showered with compliments.
I know
from the chat from Michael Govier and Cubby Knoll. Michael Govier needs to get his butt in here.
Yeah,
have the link, buddy. Because what we're doing tonight is we are talking about this draft that we're in. I want to ask. So, what haven't you guys? We'll go over your team here in a minute, but what haven't you guys been seeing eye to eye on? Because you guys are usually pretty in lockstep.
We are and we're not. I reassess every single year. Jake tends to carry things with him from year to year much more often. So if he was out on a guy last year, chances are he's still out on him this year. I try to look at things that I have changed both internally and then looking at the guy. Because a lot of times players aren't the same players that they were the year before. And for instance, I wanted to talk about maybe looking into Lau or Jazz when we took Altuve because I felt like we had the right team to accommodate a lower average kind of guy if they kind of didn't do that. But he was, Altuve is a guy who we're always on. So, and I still like him, but he wasn't really willing to, consider the other guys too much. And McClanahan I really liked, and he wasn't on board with that either. We agreed on the Chapman, the Rogers pick, the Cole pick. I think we agreed on pretty much everything else, but lately as of round 6 it's been getting to be a struggle, and this round is a little bit of a struggle as well.
Yeah, I'm going to share this screen actually.
Yeah, go for it.
Because we are live for those of you who are listening. And so if people would like to kind of see the draft board, there they go. Gives them a little bit of a chance to kind of see what's been going on here. Let's talk about your team because I really like your draft. As much as you say that you and Jake have not necessarily been seeing eye to eye on everything, I like the team you're putting together, which pains me to say because we're running back that bet from last year, and I think you're starting off pretty well. Obviously, we're only about 7.5 rounds through. You and I have only made 7 picks because we are at the front end of the draft.
Right.
Why don't you run down your team? And I'm going to say out kind of early on in the episode, I had a little bit of oral surgery earlier today, so if I sound a little bit weird, if I trip over my words at any point, or if I just automatically start screaming in pain, that's what's going on. I'm just toughing it out. But before you go through your team, let's add Michael Govier.
Oh, look at this bozo.
How you doing, my friend?
I just can't say no to you guys. I'm busy. I'm very busy. I have a lot of things going on. There's a lot of demands of me. I'm very popular, but
you are.
I have to pop on for a few minutes. I see your mugs, and I just can't resist. So here I am I'll be here for 5 minutes, and I'm out of here. But hey, thanks for letting me pop on.
All right. Well, while you're on here, then let's go to Govier's draft. Tell us about what you're doing here and what your plan was coming in and how you think you're executing.
Okay, so like Dave, Justin, I did a draft the best ball draft for the first pitch Arizona, which started at first pitch and then resumed last week or 10 days ago.
Yeah.
And I did one stupid Zach Waxman / Mike the Mouth DC. That was October 15th or something like that. It was right after the season ended. I've never done anything like that, and that was really dumb. So to me, this is truly my first draft of the season, and I'm not prepared. I'm not ready still. I'm really trying to avoid ADP. Yep, I'm trying to avoid ADP big time. I really took to heart what I learned from Dave on his other podcast, the High Stakes Heat Pod, talking about don't let ADP dictate your terms just yet. You have to create your own projections, or at the very least your own rankings, before you find out what ADP is, because it's going to seep in there no matter what. And I've always thought that was true, but I really took it to heart more than ever this time. And I've been going out of my way to try to avoid it as much as I can.
It's a good call.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. That's what I do. I mean, I try my best not to look at ADP unless I'm like really stuck between a few players. I did it last round, and one of the reasons I ended up on Springer was because I was like, oh man, this is the last chance to get him, as opposed to the other guys I was thinking about that had potential to make it back to me.
Well, yeah, you took Jazz at his max and Springer close to his max. So you basically took like the two guys that ADP were like screaming at you to take.
Well, and I said, I had the oral surgery earlier today, and I really want to take a nap, but you were taking fucking forever. And
I have a partner who's not that available, and we were not agreeing on our picks. All right, I'm sorry.
So I put 5 guys into the queue because I was 4 picks away with back-to-back picks, and I went and took a nap, and the top 2 guys went straight off the board. So I got my 3 and 4.
Wanted Lau and Snell.
I wanted Lau and Snell. They just went right in front of me, which
right.
Was a bummer,
okay.
But,
interesting. Springer. You're not worried about Springer's injuries? Or
I'm absolutely worried about it, but he showed even in the limited time that he can rack up. Oh God damn you!
Oh what? Wait, guys! This just popped up. I got to jump in because I've been spoiled by the ADP because we're doing this draft. Kimbrel's ADP and NFBC, according to what we're doing, is around 118-ish or something, 120. Why?
110,
am I missing something? Isn't Hendricks the god? I mean,
no, they're gonna
trade him.
Yeah.
They've already
we're all confident of this.
Yeah, the team has already alluded that they're going to move him. Once.
See, I didn't even know that.
It seems like a pretty foregone conclusion that he's going to get moved to a team that does not want to spend long-term money on a.
There's absolutely.
Well, at least that makes sense.
There's still some risk there, though, no question. I mean,
absolutely.
Once
not good down the stretch.
Yeah, once Will Smith was off the board, the closer in the first pick of the fifth, or Kenley Jansen with the second pick of the 5th round, like after that point, it's kind of a dead zone for me because like I love Gallegos' skills and Romano, but like I can't trust either of them that they definitely have the job. And Kimbrel, that's where I'm trying to avoid taking closers because those are the guys that get paid up for that often bust. So I want to make sure we got one of those guys early, and then we'll take some shots later.
Yeah, I pretty much got the last guy in Will Smith that I feel really confident about.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, love Will Smith. I love him so much. But yeah, you got Varsho. I actually thought about taking Varsho on that turn prior there. When I took Barrios and Reynolds, I was strongly considering Varsho, and I thought, you know what? I'm not going to go there just yet because I can live with Stevenson, who I ended up taking the next turnaround, even though I won't get the steals. But the point being here is that I don't know what's happening still, and I'm confused about how rosters are going to shake out. But I'm getting more of a handle on things. So I interrupted your point, though. I wanted to finish that point, Justin, you made about Springer. You're not that you are worried, but you just like a guy who's playing for a really good team.
I just think he can rack up just a ton of counting categories on that team, and potentially, he should be leading off when he is in the lineup. It's definitely a risk because we've seen him miss considerable time last year. We've seen him kind of miss a lot of not a lot of time, but just weeks here and there throughout his career. So it's definitely a risk. But he finished on the field, which is something that is very important to me when I'm drafting. So I think I was willing to take the gamble as late as he was, because I mean, this is a guy who's been going in the second round, in previous years. Grabbing him in the seventh.
His talent is not in question. Yeah. He's completely talented.
And
I think it's the same story.
If as long as I draft risk averse, kind of from here on out, I have a lot of potential. I have the ability to kind of fill in for him on my roster if he does miss time. But I want to talk about your team, because you're only going to be here a few minutes. Run through who you picked. You were picking from the 15 slot. You were like the man of the 15 slot last year.
He loves the 15 slot.
Was that the plan
it's just stupid
this time, or did it just happen that way?
It's just stupid now. I didn't mean for that. It really was like at least my fourth or fifth KDS choice. It wasn't the top three for sure, but it wasn't dead last either. I like the chance to take two guys at once in a bunches. I really think there's advantage to is at times. Maybe it seems like, oh, wow, I'm getting two guys at once and it's a big advantage, but I'm also having massive gaps where I can't pick. So I understand how that works with math and all that. But this is more of a joke for the Battle of the Podcast. I don't expect to be drafting for 15 very often again. That was last year. Not doing that again this year. This is just for fun. Although it is for money, and I do want to win, and I finished bottom 3 last year, so I'd like to improve upon that. But as far as my draft, Justin, I took Buehler first. I did consider Mookie Betts strongly there, and I also considered Robert strongly, but credit to Dave. I actually thought a lot about Dave and his injury concerns, and I thought about Betts' hip, and I thought about Robert's hip. I know they're both under 30. I know Robert's 23-ish, and Betts is 29. But I was like, why don't I just take a guy because I trust Walker Buehler. The guy's a horse, man. He just has such fluid motion with his mechanics. He's not going to get hurt. And if he does get hurt, it would really surprise me. So I locked in there on Buehler. And then I took Devers because third base can be a struggle. And he's really, really good. A guy who could hit 40 home runs at the corner. Maybe steal me 5, 6, 7 bags too.
I really want to look into Robert more because I don't know how serious his hip injury is. Betts bothers me a little bit because he kind of admitted that it probably needs surgery, but he didn't get surgery. I don't expect him to miss like a ton of time, but I do expect him to miss time. And I just don't love that with my first 2 picks.
But Rob, the master of the DC, took Betts. So that is, to me, that gives it a lot of credibility all of a sudden, just because Rob knows DC so well.
Well, and I mean, I think part of it is he got such a good discount on him. Like that's what I mean. He fell all the, you were considering him in the, back end of the first round, right? Early second round.
Yep.
But like he fell all the way back down
the mid-second
to mid-second. So like I understand taking the gamble there. Like one of the things Dave and I were kind of talking about before we started recording was the fact that there have just been some really extreme deals for people. I mean, Jordan falling all the way to the 4th. Toby getting Sal Perez in the 4th. Like, he didn't even have to take a catcher
That angered me so much when he got Sal in the 4th. I was like, no, come on.
Why?
Talk about the rest of your team, because you have built a pretty nice rotation. But you also have 2 guys who are coming off of Tommy John in Chris Sale and Justin Verlander. So how worried are you about that? Or do you feel like, hey, as my de facto like 2-4 or 3-4, I'm okay taking the gamble?
Also, before you get started, let's say hi to Matt, so we're not awkwardly.
Yeah, there he is over there.
I'm fine, just chilling here, just like not saying anything, and then I was just gonna leave without ever having to contribute.
No, Matt Williams, nice of you to join us, buddy. All right, Mike, go ahead.
Hello, Matthew. I just went on a rant about injury concerns and trying to be smart about it, and as Justin just pointed out, I took Chris Sale and Justin Verlander, who. And there's no track record for a guy who's 39 years old coming off Tommy John to have any type of success, not even decent success, right?
Yeah.
So I also looked at the pitchers who had Tommy John at 37 or older. I believe the age was the cutoff there. and they were nobody compared to Verlander. That's the other thing.
How many people are on that list?
There's about 8. Like Bronson Arroyo was one that stood out. Mark Fetters.
All right, you're answering my question. Go ahead.
Exactly, right? So, like, Justin Verlander blows all these guys out of the water. It's not even close. So
because
I decided
their bad seasons could have just been because they're bad pitchers, not because of
exactly. I took Verlander because they gave him a 2-year deal, and the Astros gave him $50 million. Okay, so they know what they're doing.
No, I have learned not to do that. Like the whole appeal to authority thing doesn't work out. Like when teams have often given bad contracts when like people are like, well, he's got to be healthy, otherwise they wouldn't give him this contract.
You're right. Okay,
I believe the opposite. Like the Rodon, I won't touch Rodon because the White Sox wouldn't give him the qualifying offer. It scares the crap out of me. So it works the opposite way, I think.
Same with Kershaw.
Okay, that's fair.
Dave subscribes to the X-Files theory, which is trust no one. Trust absolutely no one. If a person has ever had a paper cut in their life, he is not drafting them.
I trust Matt's team, the Mets, the least of all by far. Like they're the team.
Angels got to be up there.
Everyone. I think that they've completely sterilized the area. I mean, there could be ghosts. We'll see. But that's the only thing left.
Okay, your GM literally said that DeGrom's UCL like fixed itself. Okay, that does not happen.
Hey, not the GM, the weird de facto face of the Mets that no longer apparently has a say. So
whoever he is,
that's going to bring me down.
I will say this,
that wasn't the only reason. Wasn't the only reson I took Verlander. I want to finish this up. I got to leave.
I honestly don't have any issue with Sale. Honestly, like I don't think Sale's a bad pick. I think he should be good to go this year. I'm open to drafting Sale. Verlander was the pick a little bit like, but that's really your first big risk that I saw on their team, and that's fine. In the 8th round, that's okay.
Yeah. I still believe I actually took Verlander for the same reason I took Buehler, because again, another guy with just absolutely flawless mechanics, smooth motion, repeatable. We've already seen it for a decade and a half already. This guy got hurt because he throws hard, and that's what happens with pitchers who throw hard. Eventually, you'll probably get hurt because that's just what the torque of the physics are. But I trust Verlander implicitly, and I'll actually be surprised if he fails. I really will.
I could not agree or could not disagree with you more. But I love you and I love your enthusiasm, and I'm rooting for Verlander because I think he is a really fun pitcher to watch.
I am not rooting for Verlander because I will have him nowhere. So
yeah, no, I won't have him anywhere either. Before I know you said you can only be on for a few minutes, so before you dip out of here, we start talking to other people. Talk to me about your plan for. Oh, that's right, Zach's here. Zach,
what up, man?
You're on mute, buddy. We can't hear you.
I muted you because I heard keys.
Oh, okay.
That's what it sounds like.
How you doing, Zach?
Hey, what's up, guys?
It's good to see you, brother. Thank you for hosting the draft. It's a pleasure to have you on.
Yeah, without Zach,
I'm glad that everyone returned. I wasn't sure, but everyone came back.
And it's such a fun group. We have such a fun chat going on.
Oh yeah.
But Govia, so what's your plan for, because you've got starting pitching lockdown. You've got some pretty good power and a pretty decent average base. You have very little speed and 0 saves. Like, is this something you feel like you can get later? These are usually things people target earlier.
Yeah, well, Rosarino will give me speed, you're right, but I don't have any beyond that. I'm hoping Reynolds maybe bounces up to 10 steals this year. That'd be nice if that happened. It's not a guarantee. I am definitely disappointed on the steals. I regret not taking Jonathan India at that same turn with Barrios and Reynolds. I should have taken India and Reynolds and skipped Barrios, but I kind of really talked myself into Barrios there. I really just think he's going to hit the peak of his career here, and he's so reliable for the most part, consistent too. So I would love to have had India's steals and at bats, and he's such a, I mean, that's a polished dude coming up, first year, 150 games played, rookie of the year. That's legit to me, and maybe I'll regret that because I the steals are going to get rough now. You're going to have to start going for guys like Nicky Lopez or like Chris Taylor, or there's other guys that I really don't want to take.
MVP.
Yeah, oh, there he is. Yeah, Zach. Yeah, you know the story. I love Miles Straw. That'd be a lot of fun.
Been drafted yet?
I don't think so. I think he's still on the board.
We shouldn't talk about him if he hasn't been drafted. But Gobi, did you purposely pick slot 15 in KDS, or is that just happen?
That was our first question.
Not in that. Ever missed that already?
I explained that I did that as more of a joke as a tribute to this league only. I don't plan to do it all year, Zach. This is kind of a one-off.
It's funny because Deary got the 15th pick in the other draft.
I know. That's what Graham said. Yeah, Shrimp Boat Captain's like, yeah, are you guys in cahoots here? And he took Walker Buehler with his first pick at the 15. There was no talk about that.
This sounds like collusion or something.
There's no, I swear, it's not collusion. It's just bozo fest. That's all. I promise you, it's the opposite of collusion.
Does he also have like no stolen bases or saves on his team?
Yeah. Look, Justin, I'm in deep shit with no saves, and the saves thing is a problem for me. This is why I'm not ready to draft, because I don't know what I'm going to do with no CBA. I've talked about this before a few times about the fact that there's a lot of jobs that could be had and that are going to be available, and opportunities abound. We don't know who's going to land where still just yet when it comes to closers and saves. And I know there's the studs, so if you're not going with the studs, maybe you're really, really putting myself in a massive disservice this year. I just don't know yet until we get this damn CBA done, so I can see a little bit more clearly.
Yeah, it's a difficult time to be drafting right now. That being said, I appreciate you guys agreeing to start the draft a week early, because I was fucking jonesing. I really was.
Yeah, it was totally out of my hands. You guys, it seemed like there was hey, we got to do this. So hey, here we are.
It was me. Fucking peer pressure. I was gonna wait another like 4 weeks, but fuck you.
All right, I got to write this paper. I'm going to bounce. So thanks for letting me pop on and say hello. You guys all have fun.
Govier, before you leave,
yeah.
Pick one team other than your own that you like the most right now.
Well, to me, like the default is just to say DiPietro because he's so good in this format. But I won't go that route because that's too easy. I do like his team though.
No, just whichever. The team, not the player.
I would say at this present time, I do like. I kind of like. Well, not anymore. I was gonna say Bubba there, but I don't like the last couple of picks. But I do like Bubba's start. I like Vladdy, Ozzy, Class A. Tyler O'Neill was a guy. It was either Tyler O'Neill or Rosarina for me. Eloy could be an MVP candidate this year. I really believe that if he could be healthy. So I like that squad, but I also like. Like I said, Rob is he's so good in this format. So and Zach's team is. I really like Zach's too. I think those are the ones that stand out right now.
Okay,
but it's all still pretty tight right now, in my opinion. I don't think.
Oh yeah. It's too early.
We're in round 7 or 8 here, and there's still. It's really going to be a lot more fun once we get to round 23 or 4.
Mm-hmm. Crossland's team is the only team I can successfully write off right now. Just kidding, Eric. But not really. Love you, buddy.
Why? Because he's got Trout, Bieber, Simeon, and Goldie.
Yep. Yeah. Trout.
There's
Bieber,
a lot of injuries.
Flaherty and Seager. That's 4 guys, and then Melanson. It's not. No.
I don't know what my boy Legeza is up to. It was looking solid, and then he went back to back with Snell and Bregman. Very unlike him.
Is it?
Really? I like those picks.
Yeah, you're
for him. No, I'm saying for him, this is very out of character.
Why is that?
Well, Snell, I don't think he'd ever throw like a complete risky pitcher out there, especially this early. And Bregman is obviously a 50-50 to come back to what he was. It's just for him. It's probably just because it's a unique setup.
7th round, eh?
Say what?
What was that? Snell should not be in the 7th round. Would you guys agree?
No.
Where do you think you should be?
Well, after that.
Snell?
Who should be Snell?
Well, he went before Arenado. I don't believe that should happen.
Snell's like a 9th round pick, I'd say.
Yeah, like what happened? Did he get a bump or something? Because I thought everybody hated him now.
Well, I did before. Like last year, I hated him, but he had a real strong finish to the year last year. And if he's healthy, I like him this year a little bit.
I didn't like him last year because he came into the season with elbow pain.
Yeah.
So, but you never know. I mean, with him, you just, he's a risky guy. So I was just saying,
I actually wanted Snell there on that turn and got sniped pretty hard. So
I'm on the clock, I don't know if
Did you
guys
set
know that.
maxes on Jazz
Oh,
and
Zach's on the-
Springer
Oh.
on that turn?
Yeah,
He did.
Zach,
He did
so,
that. Yeah.
So Zach, before you make your pick, because you are on the clock right now, why don't you run through your team real quick and then take us through the thought process of making your pick?
Well, I'm gonna
because
bounce. I love you guys. You guys are awesome. Like, do your thing. I gotta go. So thanks for
Go,
having me
go,
on.
go.
Bye. Thank you, Zach, for doing this. See you.
Thanks, Zach.
Bozo Fest 2022.
Bozo fan.
So Zach, to talk about what you've done so far in the draft and then where you're going here.
Yeah, just did everything differently than I would ever do it normally. Because it's a standalone league. I think I just went a lot more hitting heavy than I would normally do. Didn't take any closers. Because I guess you can sort of pivot that. You can more easily pivot because it's just there's no overall. But I'm just making sure that I got my aces and bases, I guess, at the start, which I've accomplished, I believe. And after I got to the point where I felt like the good hitters at Steel are gone, then I'm just going to take guys that are just sort of falling in the draft. Like I felt Gosman fell a bit, and then Will Smith, that was his max pick. So I don't know. I can't really say.
Killed me.
Yeah,
I was just a slam dunk pick at that point.
Yeah.
I knew you wanted him to because I've heard you talk about him, Dave. And then
I know you did.
After that, with Junior, I don't know, the bat projections came out today, and like they're not too great on him, so I could see maybe him falling a bit now. Like he did, I've seen him go. It's such a high variance of where he goes in drafts. But again, Arenado probably would have been my pick there, but then I'm like, hopefully Witt's going to get third base eligibility, and I'll just. And
Arenado went one pick before you.
Yeah, exactly. I probably would have taken Arenado if he had fallen there. And then here I'm sort of waffling between two guys. I know the two guys I was thinking of. They both stayed in my queue. I'll probably pick as soon as I log off here because I can't pick because I'm talking to you guys on my phone and I got to pick on my phone.
Oh.
So I can't make a pick unless I shut off this video.
Well, you got an hour 45 left. You're good.
Yeah, I'm not gonna time out. So yeah, I'm debating between two people. So it's gonna be it's a real fork in the road here with my strategy, whether I go one way or the other.
I've got a question for you because your two outfielders that you took Teoscar in the second. We were actually considering him at our pick.
Right.
You jumped him up a bit. Tell us about the Teoscar pick, and then also Buxton. I was a little surprised to see you take him. I know you were telling me some other prominent players liked him early. I did not think that you liked him though.
At that point, I was thinking to myself, like, I don't really think Buxton should be going in the fourth. Like, I don't think I was pretty confident that Justin wasn't going to take him because he's got him ranked like 100th on his rankings. And I was pretty sure that I was 100% sure you weren't going to take him. So those guys were written off. Williams, I'm pretty sure you didn't want him. Am I right or wrong? I don't know. But
I normally wouldn't in this draft. He was in my queue.
And then I don't know about baseball pods. I wasn't sure. So I'm like, okay, like there was no one else there that like, he was sort of like the last speed option because Rosarina was gone. And Rosarina, Joe Govia jumped him a little bit. So I'm like, okay, like there's a lot of things that could happen. Like I'll just take whatever falls to me. Like really like in a normal draft, I'd probably let Buxton fall to the fifth. But I'm here. I'm like, you know what? I'll just take whatever falls to me and I'll just work with it in the fifth. And Gosman fell to a nice value. So I took him. Really, I probably would have flipped things under normal circumstances and taken like I probably would have taken a closer if there was an overall component. Like Dave, I probably would have taken Chapman there if there was an overall. But then I decided to flip the script there.
It's a good point. That's a good point. I wasn't really factoring in the fact that there is no overall in this, so that is a good point.
But now I'm with saves.
I really thought between DiPietro, Cross, and you, I thought one of you was going to be taking Aroldis Chapman. When you didn't, I was very shocked because I was like, look, I'm fine with taking Will Smith if he's the last guy I'm comfortable with there, but I was very, very happy to get
I would have been very upset if that had fallen that way. I really wanted a closer there.
I know.
I have to say, like, I do love your draft so far, Zach. Like, I'm not a big Buxton guy, as you mentioned.
I look at your rankings, Justin, so I realized that. You don't have him 100th, but you have him pretty.
Yeah, I think I have him 21. I think in the outfield, which is, I mean, it's not bad, but it's definitely lower than where the ADP is going right now. But I mean, your start of Corbin Burns, Teoscar, and Trevor Story, I mean, that was art, my friend. Like that was really, really impressive. I almost took Story instead of taking DeGrom on the 2-3 turn, and I am kind of kicking myself for not.
I'm pretty glad you did that. With my thoughts on DeGrom, but I don't. Not everyone shares my thoughts on DeGrom, and I realize that.
I do.
I know you do.
I'm very scared. I'm very scared.
I don't know if anybody knows this, but yeah, I'm not a huge DeGrom backer for this season. So
yeah, I'm still kicking myself for making the pick, but I'm getting it out of my system now before my
But the thing is,
happen.
I peer pressured the
overall
shit.
Prizes.
I peer pressured the shit out of Justin to take DeGrom. I was like, you ranked him as your SP4, you motherfucker, you better be taking him here.
He's dropped since my last posting on FanGraphs.
You dropped him to 6. He was still well ahead of Giolito, who's your next guy.
Yeah, no, he is. But usually I'm not going to take a starter that early. So
right.
You know, unless I'm getting one of the guys I consider like a top 5 guy. But yeah, Zach, really impressive draft so far.
Appreciate that, Justin.
Zach, it's kind of cute how you and I have kind of mirrored our picks, like starter, outfielder, shortstop. We both took a catcher within a round of each other, and another starter the same round. Like very similar makeup so far.
Well, to be honest, I was looking at that too, and I saw that I was mirroring you, and I really don't want to fall behind your team too much, right? So I wanted to that's. It's not that I'm saying it's something that I was thinking of. I'm looking at my team versus yours. I'm like, yeah. At first, you had me in steals because you took Marte, but I'm like, I probably have you a bit in power, and you have a bit of a better pitcher. So it's like it was close. I'm like, I don't want to fall too much. Like the fact that we were mirroring each other, I was making sure that I can't fall too much behind you because it's hard to catch up to a guy like that when you have sort of similar picks.
So, well, I appreciate that. I don't know if I'm the team to catch. We'll have to see about that. I really like Toby's team personally. I mean, I think there's a lot of strong teams here. As long as I don't have Cross's team, I'm okay. I really
why it's gonna make me laugh forever.
I do really like Toby's team, but Matt, which team do you like other than your own?
Team do I like? I like quite a few. I love Justin's team. I mean, I'm a Mets fan, so I have to root for DeGrom.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I mean, I'm never a fan of drafting Will Smith just because
the pitcher.
I don't like. The pitcher. So that's the only pick of yours I don't like. But I mean, Jazz and Springer just fought at 6 and 7. That's beautiful. So if things go right for Justin, he slaughters us all. Even Cross's team, if they turn out well, he could still get us pretty good. I was really surprised when Toby took a Mondesi actually.
That shocked me.
Because he had to that point he had gone 3 pitchers and a catcher to go with your first traditional hitter as Mondesi. I just surprised.
I was actually shocked when he passed up Sal Perez
in the third. Yeah, I was too. Which really kind of speaks.
Drew took JTR over Perez.
Yeah, all of those were shocking. I think Toby doesn't have as much faith in like Presley, Chapman, Jansen, Smith because for him to take Diaz and pass on Perez there, he had to really be afraid of those other closers.
The closers went insanely early because I mean my original plan was like, okay, I'm taking Turner at 1, and then I'm hoping that Hendricks or Hader make it back to me in the second round.
Didn't even get close to you.
It wasn't even close.
Remotely close to you.
I mean, Hader and Hendricks went before Betts. Like that's crazy to me, and I love those guys. I'm totally about drafting one of those guys early, but man.
So what are you guys thinking with like if in a standalone league, are you looking to double tap those closers, or are you looking to are you comfortable with one?
I'm comfortable with one.
Yeah, I just want one.
Yeah, I just want to get one that I can count on, then I like to take some shots a little later because I think I have a decent read on some situations. But
because like you mentioned, Zach, you don't have to win. There's no overall. Like you don't necessarily have to stay balanced. You just have to, you just have to accumulate enough roto points in the league to win the league. If you want to just take 1 or take 0 like you're doing, and then just take a crap ton of dart throws, and I mean, the year that Rob won the the DC overall, like he didn't invest much in closers. He just took dart throws and hit on a few of those.
I do wonder how that would have turned out if it was a full season, though.
I wonder about that as well. But it's
very tough to do that
in a standalone. It's not a bad strategy. It's the reason why I talk about like I'm totally willing to punt batting average in a standalone, because you can afford to punt a category and not work because there's no overall. So I've got no problem with doing that. Obviously in an overall league, you want to stay a little bit more balanced in that.
Well, if you heard Zach on, I think it was Bubba's podcast, he was telling you about if you decide to punt a category, how much tougher it makes it to win the league. I always tell people too, if you punt a category, you leave yourself no room for error, because if you think you're really good in ERA, like I did last year when I started my draft with Giolito, Nola, and Gallen, and then you end up last in ERA because they all have shitty years, now you're totally fucked, because you've not only are you last in ERA, but you also punted another category like steals or saves. I never punt categories because you're leaving yourself such little room.
My comeback to that, though, is that if you're just really shitty in a category that you were expecting to be strong in, you're pretty fucked either way, whether you were punting a category or not. I prefer to punt.
We have to edit that out.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to bleep that one on accident. Sorry, that the oral surgery got me there. I'm not gonna bleep shit out.
That was not Zach, by the way. That was Justin.
Yeah, that was me. I prefer to punt batting average because there's such a variance to it, right? So, like, the idea with punting batting average is you kind of devalue it from your equation, and then hope that you spike enough good BABIP luck years where you finish mid-pack. And so it kind of carries you over. So, but obviously you can only do that in a standalone. You can't really do that in an overall component league.
So Matt, why don't you go over your team? Tell us a little bit about what your approach was here and your picks and
want me to take off and make my pick?
Go ahead.
Yeah, and then come back in.
It's up to you. Yeah, go do that and then come back. Yeah.
Okay.
Do you know what? Wait, do you know who your pick's going to be?
Not yet.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
I'm just between two guys, and if I don't want to say which one.
No. Yeah, obviously, because you might come back.
I'm hoping he comes back around to me.
All right. Fair enough.
It's clearly Ian Kennedy.
Ian Kennedy, yeah. I guess you guys must have been talking about him before.
No, just a really low relief.
Ian Kennedy has Govier written all over him.
Yeah, probably.
It's definitely not Ian Kennedy.
That is Govier's closer one. Govier's closer one written all over it.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Zach, we'll talk to you. Yeah,
all right, Matt. Tell us who you got, and you'll be coming up soon, so you can. I know you don't want to give it away with.
Yeah, I got three to go before me. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
My team. I mean, Jose Ramirez. Anyone?
Yeah,
that couldn't have been the shock for anyone. It shocked me that John took Tatis second. I said in our chat before it started, I'm interested to see who Dave takes fourth, because I thought Ramirez is going second. I was going to take Bo third, and just to see if you guys would actually take Tatis at 4 or not.
No,
so that's the way that went. So yeah, Ramirez is my 102. So yeah, he was easy. Julio Urias, as soon as I saw Cole 4, Burns 6, and then especially when Simeon took Woodruff at 10, I thought for sure starting pitching would fly. I was very happy to get Urias. To me, I like him more than Buehler personally. I think people don't give him enough credit. I mean, I know you look up FIP, XFIP, all that. He falls behind the pack from last year of the top tier, but he snuck in there with some sneaky numbers. Forgetting the wins, they're fluky as hell. But I think he gives a much safer floor than people give him credit for as a young pitcher.
He really limits hard contact so much. I mean, that's obviously a clear focus for him.
I wonder how much he's going to drop, considering what his projections are. Have you seen the projections are really bad.
He's been out pitching his peripherals for years, though. I mean, he hasn't been around that long, but I mean, I agree with Matt. I think he's good.
I do too.
In the shortened season, he had the limited innings, but no one entered in the amount of innings he threw in the postseason, which actually upped his total tremendously. This year, he got almost a 200, only a K per inning. But if you're going to throw 200 innings, you're going to get 200 strikeouts, which is pretty much what he did. So yeah, I was thrilled to get him. I was sweating getting Tim Anderson on the way back. I almost just took him in the second round because speed definitely looked like it was flying here with Marte, Merrifield, Teoscar. going right before me. So I decided to take Tim Anderson. I was very happy to get him because I like to fill up my infield. 4th round, I don't know about. There was a lot of
This was
crazy.
interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot of craziness in this draft as far as people doing whatever the hell they wanted, which I love. And if there's a ton of min picks, there's going to be a lot of max picks. So I took Aaron Judge, my only share ever. I've never drafted him before in my entire life.
So I have to ask, did you even consider taking a closer there, or did you? No, you don't like Will Smith, and you probably don't like Jansen either, right? So was that once Chapman was on the board, you were like, nope?
I actually have a few shares of Jansen already. So I was like, screw that. I'm not taking another share of Jansen. I will wait it out. So Judge was past his max, and I'm just sitting there like, all right, I'm just considering him, what he can do. And I think he's another person that I think, talking to you, Dave, I think the injuries things get a little overblown with him because even when he does get injured, he still gives you like 450 plate appearances. So if the wheels fall off, it's not horrible. So I figured, all right, here I have a chance to lock down like a ton of power. And yes, I could have gotten that from Matt Olson. I could have gotten that from Pete Alonso, but I decided I'd rather just lock it up here, get an outfielder on the board. There's a lot of first basemen I like left. And so I just took a shot, my first and only share of Aaron Judge. After that, Joe Musgrove, absolutely love him. I know that you are not the biggest fan, but Dave, I know you because we were talking about in the chat earlier, but
I love him.
He's solid though. I like him.
I was going to take him where I took Judge and set a min pick on him. I think he's underrated drastically from where he's currently going in ADP. He's another 200 plus strikeout guy. He's someone that just kind of withered a little bit down the stretch, but overall, a lot of people dinged him for sticky stuff, but it wasn't that. When he withered down the stretch, his spin rate was fine. So I think he's someone where the Dodgers are going to be a little dinged up. The Diamondbacks are still the Diamondbacks. It's a nice division for him to pitch in. Trevor Story's gone, all sorts of stuff. I think it's just it lines up nicely for him. Next pick, Brandon Lau. Super psyched to get him because my first what I wanted to do with Judge and Musgrove near the turn was I was going to take Musgrove and Lau because I think this is one of the most underrated players in baseball. People see him on the Rays. They're always talking, oh, he's going to get platoon more. He's not really, though. He gets the occasional day off. He's been on a 40 home run pace the last couple of seasons, did it last year, steals some bags. I like him a ton. So I was hoping.
I really wanted him that round. I was
did you?
so excited.
I made the case.
Made it to me.
I made the case to Jake, and he was having none of it. So it was not something that we would really consider there, unfortunately.
Yeah, I counted all the second basemen up. I'm like, all right, Baez is there, Polanco, Edman, India, Altuve, Lau. Like I can get India or Lau to come back to me, and I would have been cool with Altuve as well. So yeah, I was just very lucky to get him. And then Jordan Romano, I am not sold on him because Toronto kind of went out of their way to not make him their closer, but they don't really have any other options. It's probably a slim chance they acquire someone who's a much better option than him. So at this point, he's the 10th closer off the board. Gallego is already gone. That's my kind of cue to go ahead and take him because I want at least one person I'm comfortable with. And if nothing else, at least he's a good reliever and he'll get a certain amount of saves. So that was my point to take Romano there.
Okay. I think I do think that with Judge, his contact rate jump last year has me now somewhat interested. Like, whereas before he had that sub 70% contact rate, I was kind of just off of him because it was that plus the injury issues, plus power hitters in New York being way overrated. But now
the batting average really kind of separates him from some of the late power.
Yeah, exactly. And, even a guy like, Pete Alonso, who I think you like being a Mets fan, or Matt Olson, like I think Judge can hit for higher average than all of those guys because he hits so many balls so hard. His hard hit rate was like 58% last year. Like it's nuts. So then it really just comes down to how big of an injury risk is he. And I don't think he's like a huge injury risk. Like I do think that there's some risk there, but I don't think it's anything that would preclude me from taking him. I'm not looking for power at that point in the draft, but I think he's a fine pick. I don't think that's a bad pick at all.
Yeah, he was another one of those guys that if he had made it to me, I probably would have taken him.
Okay.
Just for the same reason that Matt did. That I've never drafted Aaron Judge
Yeah.
outside of like dynasty leagues back when he was in the minor leagues, and it's just intriguing, especially in a draft like this. Plus, I have so many shares of Castellanos, but once Judge was gone, Castellanos was a pretty easy call for me.
You asked earlier who one of my favorite team was. I know Govier gave Bubba some shit for our last couple of picks. I like Bubba's team.
Okay.
I'm a hypocrite for saying I don't like Aloy just because I took Judge. But Aloy hasn't actually proven it to me that he can be a star over a full season. So for what he gives me, I would rather wait. But I like that team. Vlad fell to him, which I don't really particularly care for taking him in the first round, which is blasphemy. I know to a lot of people. I know I put out. Did you guys read that tweet that I put out?
I didn't, but Dave and I said the exact same thing last night on Eric Cross's podcast. That we're both like, I just can't do it. Like it's too hard without speed to get speed.
If everyone who follows me, METTWI77IMS, go find it. I posted it. I retweeted it. It's basically like since June 21st last year, just the sticky substance state. I was taking a look at how hitters responded to the pitchers without it. And I did like a player A, B, C, D, E. Ended up being like 5 players that were all very, very, very similar.
Oh, I saw this. This is today.
It was Joey Votto, Josh Bell, Alex Riley, some other guy, and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. And they were like identical players from June 21st on. That boost that Vlad got in Dunedin was insanity. Oh, and I'm not saying you can't take it away from him, but I'm just, without the speed, there's a very good chance he doesn't return value where most people draft him.
And for me, it's just roster construction issues. If I'm going to take a hitter in the first round, which I want to do, I want a guy who's going to produce in 5 categories, or at least produce in power and speed. So I just have a really hard time taking Vlad, even though I know he's a great player. And Knievel, there we go.
Oh, wow. Knievel, okay.
Oh, he didn't have it closed yet. I didn't realize that.
All right. I just have a hard time with Vlad. I really like Bubba's offense. Bubba's offense is sick. Bubba's pitching, I have a little bit of concern with.
If you're waiting that late, I think he did a decent job.
You're taking Charlie Morton coming off a broken leg, who's like 55 years old. I like Charlie Morton, but as my number one, not like that so much. And then I've been a big detractor of Castillo for a number of years. Yeah. Luis Castillo, yeah. And so right where he got him, I have no problem where he got him. And like I said,
I think he got Castillo like 40 picks past max or something insane.
Yeah, I mean, I actually can't complain with that price. I'll be interested to see what he does with the rest of his rotation, because I'm not loving it so far. But not having taken a starter in the first 5 rounds in a 15-team league, obviously you can't.
I guess if I would have, rather than Morton, he could have had India to double up on middle infield or Will Smith and get your catcher, and then he could have came back and grabbed Castillo, and then instead of Swanson he could have grabbed Allen.
If he just taken Manoah instead of Morton, I'm feeling really good about that team. I worry about a guy who's as old as Morton, who I think we kind of discount the fact that he was coming in with injury problems into last year too. It's why his price was so depressed. And now he's coming in another year. I know it was a fluke injury. You can't,
right?
It's a leg injury. It's not an arm injury. But
I do like Morton. I don't want to backtrack. I do like him, but if Fried, Barrios, and Montas were the pitchers that went right before him, I'd be depressed having to take Morton after those three coming to me.
Dave just got sniped.
I did.
Yeah. Cody Ballinger comes off the board right in front of Dave's pick. The instant reaction. How are you going to feel not being able to get Cody Ballinger in this draft, Dave?
Boy, I'm so lost, and I don't know what to do with myself here, because I had everything planned on taking Cody Ballinger.
I know you did. You were gonna just fall asleep on the podcast, pull a curling, and then auto draft Cody Ballinger.
Could I convince anyone, any one of the three of us, because we're all about to draft here a couple of times? Can I convince anyone to take Jared Kalenic just to piss off Eric Cross?
Not a chance.
No, not even close. Because I mean, that'll just make that team even more of a dumpster fire, and I'm here for it. So I have no concern. Would you guys find it odd knowing how I picked to know that I'm not out on Morton? I don't mind guys who are like pitchers who aren't coming off arm injuries. Like that's where I'm concerned when it comes to starters. But the thing that does concern me with Morton is not so much his age or even his injury history, because I don't think he has that much in the recent history. It's a long time ago, but my concern is with the lockout. He wasn't able to use their facilities anymore. So my concern is, what is he doing to rehab on his own? And the lack of information is what sucks when it comes to him. That's my concern with Morton.
I'm not out on Morton either. I've got him as my 39th ranked pitcher, or 38th ranked pitcher. So like, I'm not out on him by any stretch of the imagination. And I'm not actually as worried about him in that regard, because it's like a straight bone injury. So like, he's not a guy who's like needs to go through the same kind of rehab as maybe a guy who's like torn a tendon in his leg or something like that. It should be hopefully a pretty straightforward recovery. For me, it's like, if I'm going to wait on starting pitching in the way that Bubba did, I want guys I feel really comfortable I'm going to get a lot of innings from. And right now, without the information, like you said, we don't know that we can do that with Morton. So, though, I mean, if we had flipped Castillo and Morton right there, I probably wouldn't have as big of an objection, I guess, because I mean, Castillo, I think he's going to get a lot of innings from. So
I just don't want Castillo. Like I would have much rather preferred getting McClanahan to Castillo.
Did McClanahan go? Oh yeah.
God, why? Yeah. Why there's so much heat?
I mean,
he's a bad whip pitcher.
He's always been. I've always spoken out against Castillo. Like I just don't. He's got a bad fastball. I know he's got the velo, but he just doesn't know how to sequence his pitches very well, and he doesn't have the control. And I mean, he's always bad whip guy. Like, I mean, not bad, but for an early pitcher, you want a better whip.
But isn't he kind of going in an appropriate spot for that?
I think he is. I think he is now.
He's fine where he went here, which was like close to his max, but McClanahan is better. I don't know. What is,
I don't know that.
No, I don't have no problem with you wanting McClanahan. You guys seem really out on Castillo. I don't have any shares yet. I mean, let
me clarify. Where Bubba got him is totally fine. I've got Castillo as my 29 guy. So, I think where he got him in this draft is actually way undervalued. Like, this is a really good value for him. And so I'm actually going to backtrack. Considering Bubba did not take a starter in the first 5 rounds, I think he's doing a pretty darn good job of starting that rotation. But I'll be interested to see what he does. Whereas I will feel a lot better about Castillo if he actually gets traded. That infield defense is so bad in Cincinnati.
That's another thing.
For a guy who puts the ball on the ground, it's obviously, it's Great America Small Park. If he gets traded, I'm going to feel a lot more comfortable, especially if he gets traded to an organization with a good catcher. I'm going to feel really, really.
How do you feel about James Mccann?
That would kind of be one of the best possible landing spots for Castillo, right? I mean, it's a decent infield defense behind him. It's a large park. I would love that for Castillo. Do you think the Mets are going to, the Mets have, the richest owner in baseball at this point, right? So money is not an issue. Do you think that they will do that and give out the prospects necessary?
I would guess no. There's lots of rumors out there, because there's always rumors with the Mets. I'd say our trade partner is probably more the Athletics. We can take back Manaya's money. We could possibly just eat Andrus's money. The Reds, they don't really have enough, I think, there's not enough money for us to just take on, for us to offset prospects. No, we could. But I think they made it a point that we are the Mets. I say we. People get mad about that. I root for the Mets. I'm part of the team. Shut But they made it a point of saying that they're not going to, they want to hold on to their prospects and they don't want to trade them off. They want to build through free agency. And they even talked about trying to acquire players, to acquire prospects, kind of like that rumor last year where the Padres were apparently going to trade Eric Hosmer and they were going to actually have to attach a high-end prospect to get the Red Sox to take him. I think that's the kind of thing the Mets will do. So with Oakland, they're obviously looking to shed things down. So I would say Bassett and Manaea. That's probably the route they'd go rather than Castillo.
I'd like both those moves for the Mets. Manaea a little bit less just because of I just worry about the injuries that he's had over the years and stuff.
For who?
Well, he makes $10 million, which apparently $1 billion to the A's. So
yeah.
So what do you guys think about the fact that Manaea has some really good projections?
I mean, I've always been a Manaea guy. It's just the health scares the crap out of me with him. I've always loved his talent.
You're perfect to ask this to, Justin, because you're a Giants fan. Yeah. I talked about this with John before. We're projection wise, if you look at them, Logan Webb versus Sean Manaea, they're favorable for Manaea and Webb. I mean, for as far they're going, they're very similar. Webb has only done it for partial of a year, and he was out last year with, I don't know, it was a month or more with a shoulder injury.
Can't remember exactly what it was. Yeah.
But no, everyone's taking him because obviously he had a completely badass, end of the season. So I'm just wondering why Manaea. I mean, obviously he just has he has a longer track record of being injured, but he did have a whole season of being all right. I'm just surprised that he hasn't gone up further. I mean, I like where he's going now. I'm comfortable drafting him now. If he gets pushed up, maybe not so much. But why worry about a guy like Webb, who had the shoulder injury in the in his current season, and Manaea just gets all this off a fresh one. I guess I just don't understand. It's not saying don't draft Webb. It's just they have very similar projections.
Yeah. Well, one, I don't think that projection systems are catching what Webb did, right? Because of the track record, projection systems inherently rely on longer track records. It's why, I think somebody was talking about, Zach was talking about Bobby Witt, his projections in the bat not being very good. But the bat has always, I think, struggled, especially to kind of pick up what rookie or young hitters might do.
Well, I should say Webb's projections aren't bad. Manaea's are just really good. So we weren't saying that Webb's being projected down. Manaea, projections happen to love him.
Yeah, their projections happen to love Carlos Rodon too.
And I haven't projecting his innings very well.
Yeah, and I haven't dug into a lot of or what the bat has put out because it came out today, right? And I had the oral surgery, so I just briefly looked at it and saw that Rodon was the number 2 projected pitcher in the bat. And I was like, oh, that's wrong. I
actually haven't looked at the bat much for pitchers.
Yeah, I just ran it through the auction calculator, a 15-team league, just to see what it looked like. And it was Rodon came out as the number 2 starting pitcher behind Jacob deGrom. I mean, and I love Derek. Derek's a great dude. He's really smart, and I trust his projections probably more than any other projection system out there. But I don't think it's baking in the potential downside of a guy like Manaea not being able to finish out the season. I would love to see him get traded, though. As much as Oakland's a great place to pitch, and it will continue to be a great place to pitch even when the team sucks, that team sucks. That may be the worst offense in baseball once they trade Matt Olson.
Has Manaea had any injuries since late August of 2019? Because I'm not seeing any. I'm seeing that as his shoulder injury was in 2019. I think he's been healthy in 2020 and 2021, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Okay.
And he actually got his velo back in spring training last year.
Yeah, and I do remember he would peter out, he didn't have the gas to get through. His velocity would start dipping early in outings in 2020.
He definitely struggled at times. He definitely had moments in kind of start to start where he was struggling with his velocity.
Last year too? Or 2020? Okay.
In 2021. But it's so hard to tell, for guys, how much of that was guys just being tired going from 60 games to 162 games, and how much is it,
Sure.
maybe there's an injury, maybe there's this, one of the things, I really kind of, talked about going into 2020 when we knew it was going to be a shortened season. And then when we went in 2021 was there's so much we don't know because there's no historical standard for this. And I think while that's less in 2022 than it was in the previous two seasons, I think it still applies. Like there's still a lot that we haven't, we really don't know because we've never gone from a 60-game season to 162 game season. So, what are going to be the after effects and kind of waves from that, coming into 2022, and where is going to be the mistakes we make in analysis on the 2021 season that we just don't have enough information about yet because we don't have a historical perspective.
That's fair. We're close to making our pick.
Interesting. What the heck? Why do they have... Why do all the... I'm looking at the projections for Chaminade.
Yeah.
The last couple of years, he had a 1.20 whip, 1.23, and now they're all projecting him to be like 1.16.
Yeah, it's odd. Like I see that
there was no
too.
split. There was no second half split where he was good. He was actually like worse.
I mean, before 2020, he did have. I mean, in 2018, and the short season, which doesn't really matter, but I don't know. It's kind of like I don't know how they do that.
And I'm not as smart as a lot of these guys that run projections and do projections for these, these major projection systems and stuff like that. And so I can't tell you exactly what goes into them. However, something I was talking about with Paul, just kind of in passing, not on our podcast or anything, so can't go back and listen to it. This is how shitty some of the pitching projection systems seem to be right now. like Julio Urias is a guy, we talked about earlier. It's like you look at his projections, you go, how do you project him to be like a 4+ ERA pitcher when he's legitimately just never been bad? Like I just
Well, one thing is like, the Steamer had him for 187, which the Steamer, they were really off on their innings and their at bats. An ATC had 175. The Bat has him only for 151. Like, why? He just pitched 185 plus the postseason. Like, why?
I do wonder, like, how much, and maybe this is a question to have like Ariel or Derek on at some point, and really ask them, like, how much does having that short season really affect how the numbers can kind of bounce back? Because I know it was difficult for all of us going into 2020 and figuring out how much we were going to weight it, but like now looking back, these projection systems obviously look back at past performance. Like, how much does that mess up kind of the overall slate of things? I'm sure as the farther we get away from it, the less it'll be weighted and the less. But I mean, it's got to play a role in this.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's I would love an explanation. I know you think I know it's a system. Like they're not going in there and manually tinkering with every player, but you'd think you'd look at some of these and be like, okay, well, this is too conservative. We're gonna bump it up, like Nate Eovaldi 152, Julio Urias 151. The same innings as Freddie Peralta at 152.
Yeah.
Same as Chris Sale at 157. I don't know about that. They have Urias at the same as Carlos Rodon. I mean,
and that's where I don't.
Yeah, I would be shocked if Carlos Rodon even pitches like 70 innings this year.
I have him down for 99.
Fair enough. I mean, that might even be aggressive.
Hey, are you going to pick ever, Dave? What's the deal?
Shut up. I'm looking.
I kind of feel like
we're between two guys.
Rodon is one of the guys. Well, tell us which two guys, and we promise we won't pick either.
Yeah, I don't believe you, and I hate you both.
I think Rodon is like the Talladega Nights of pitching projections right now. Like he's either going to be really, really good and just prove us all wrong, or he's going to like be the guy that goes out and throws 12 innings, and I don't feel like I feel like if we get past the first 2 months of him pitching, like I'm feeling pretty confident he's going to be okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm rooting for him. I mean, I hope he
I
proves
am
everyone
too.
wrong as this monster. I got that terrible feeling like he's going to go out, throw 5 perfect innings, and then he can't come out for the 6th, and that's the year.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the pitcher that it was Garrett Richards. The year I picked him to be like in my bold predictions article, I picked him to win the AL Cy Young. Went out and threw like 8 innings or something like that, and they were really good. Or 18.
Oh, I
innings
remember
like
that.
And he was like really, really good. And I'm like,
Yeah,
he
was like pumped up, right?
Oh, it's happening. It is. And then like by the time I could finish that sentence, is Tommy John surgery. I was like, no, like it's just I have the worst luck with anytime in a bold prediction article I pick like a guy to win an award. That guy is fucked. Like it is the Madden curse of fantasy baseball. Like just or was it last year? Whatever. I think it was last year when I picked Trevor Rosenthal to lead the American League in saves. Like literally the day that article published, the report came out on him. Like it went live at 7:15 a.m. By the time noon rolled around, the news announced that he was like, gonna need thoracic outlet surgery. I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me.
Not that I predicted the thoracic outlet surgery or anything like that, but that was a time when our group was a little split on Rosenthal. I was all out on him because he was coming off of a year where he finally was able to stay healthy, huge year, getting drafted as high watermark. I always stay away from those kind of guys. So at his age, and his injury track record, I just didn't want anything to do with him. Not that it was like a full fade, but it was like I want to look at every other option before taking Rosenthal this year.
Rosenthal and closers in general are the reason why I was not able to get competitive in this league last year. Because I took Rosenthal in the 5th or 6th, then Archie Bradley is my second closer, and then Anthony Bass. Remember after the draft, like everybody was like, "Oh man, you really called Anthony Bass."
Yeah.
Everybody was so like, "Hey, that was a really good call," because he hadn't signed yet. And yeah, I finished with like 7 saves in this league. Like
you guys ready for my pick?
I'm ready. Please.
All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1, boom.
Whoa!
You are up.
That's not a Dave pick.
Yeah,
we had him everywhere last year. Yeah, really? Okay.
Really? You had him last year?
Oh yeah,
Mitch Haniger.
Yeah, I mean,
Dr. Dave took Mitch Haniger.
Yeah. Listen, I always have to correct people on this. I'm not averse to risks, but he was going at a very palatable place last year.
I get last year, but I'm just surprised you'd be.
Well, what's
back
the risk? He had 700 plate appearances last year, and
Hey, I said it with Jorge Soler. You're only injury prone until you're not. But I'm just I don't have no problem with the pick. I'm just surprised. Yeah. Oh, here, I'll make my pick.
He's had a career of injuries, so this is not a guy who's like just been injured once. Like the reason why
I like that.
The reason
that guy's going to get some DH at bats right there because they don't have anyone else.
No, they'll re-sign Ryan Zimmerman.
For those of you who don't know, because I haven't actually said it yet, we drafted Mitch Haniger.
I said it.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah,
I don't listen when you talk. That's fine.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised. I mean,
okay.
Yeah, take him in the 8th round.
Look at our team. Look at our average and steals base, and then think about how nicely those homers and RBI go with that. I'm looking to get another outfielder here. Like outfield is something that in a fab league, I am never in a hurry to draft outfielders, but in DCs, they run out, man. You got to get those out.
I agree.
You got to have like a dozen outfielders on your team, and you better get some guys who are going to play for you.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's not a pick I would make. I as much as I love Mitch Haniger, I was a big Haniger fan, especially when he got traded over to Seattle. I had a lot of shares in his initial breakout before things kind of fell apart for him physically. But I have a hard time taking him this early just because I worry about the long track record of health problems with him. So that being said, like I'm not gonna like knock a guy because he got hit in the testicles and lost a nut. Like that's about as fluky as a fucking injury as you can get. Like
right. That doesn't concern me.
Yeah, that one doesn't. But the previous injuries, throughout the minor leagues, especially, it does concern me a bit. That being said, like I said, I really love your team, and I
like
think you
it.
can sustain that. So
Yeah, this is the 8th round. This is generally the 8th round is around the time that I am looking for impact players, and I'm not as concerned about injury risk at this point because up until this point, I've taken very, very little risk. I mean, you can say Starling Marte usually gets dinged up, but he still plays like 525 to 625 plate appearances a year. So like when he misses time, it's ticky tacky. It's nothing like out for the year kind of thing.
And
So
I mean, he has the ability, and we saw this in Oakland, like the ability to be like a game changer at a category that is hard to find.
Yeah, and he also has some pop, and he's in a really good lineup now. I mean, the guy has been, between Pittsburgh and Miami, the majority of his career has been shitty lineups, and then like he went to Oakland, which was a decent lineup, but like the Mets this year should actually be.
And anytime you can hit in front of Robinson Cano, you have to.
Who the hell knows what's going to happen with Robinson Cano? Matt thinks he's going to get released. So
getting totally released. He's at 260 in the Dominican League. He's getting released.
Well, and he got hurt there too, didn't he?
He did. He tweaked his back or something. But I mean, they have a DH now. Do you think now's the time to release him?
Oh yeah, he's getting released.
Okay. I wouldn't be surprised.
They're going to go on a spending spree. We're going over 300 mil for sure.
Yeah, wouldn't surprise me at all if he got released.
I mean, I think they're going to come to the conclusion that it's not worth the roster spot.
That's very possible.
I don't know if I'm assuming John Legaze's light is on, so he might actually make his pick.
Okay. Yeah,
I'm really tempted.
He's around. He just DM'd me that I sniped him on Keibert.
Okay.
Is it Keibert, not Keibert?
Could be Keibert. I don't know.
I believe it's Keibert.
I don't know either.
But I'm really bad with names.
Idea.
So it's funny because I like one of the things for me like that is a huge pet peeve and really annoys me is when people mispronounce names that I know. But I am the fucking worst at mispronouncing names. It should not bother me when other people mispronounce names because I mispronounce names all the fucking time.
Well, I have the pronunciation guide, Chris Baseball Pod.
I do too.
There's so many names. If I hear a name so many times read by other people, I assume it's correct. Mm-hmm. If I'm wrong, I will learn from it. If it's a name I don't know, I'll do my best to try to figure it out. But I have always heard Keibert, so that's why I assumed it was that. So if I'm wrong, please let me know. I won't make the mistake again. I do mess up Lau and Low consistently.
That one's one I actually know. Do you know if it's Luis Robert or Robert?
I mean, it was Robert, then went to Robert, and I believe it's back to Robert now, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, yeah, I can't keep up.
I mean, that's the way I believe it is. I think
what happened was it's always been Robert, but I think someone called him Robert, and then he kind of just went with it, like
George Martinez. If you say, "Is it George or Jorge?" He says, "I don't care."
Right.
That's literally his answer. If you ask him every time.
I know. I asked him that question like 7 times while we were rooming together at FPAS, and I was he literally like, every time it's like,
And it was like, I don't care. Like, I really would like you to tell me.
Like, what does your mom call you? Tell me what Cronenworth. There we go.
I mean, so obviously it's Jorge, but he's gotten so used to people calling him George.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it is.
Because we're all a bunch of dumbass Americans, so he just got used to it. So Justin, Shrimp Boat Captain Graham says, you chirping Bubba for taking Morton in the 6th being a health risk, while your only starter, DeGrom in the 3rd.
Oh, he's your only starter?
He's my only starter.
He's like, this is comedic gold, is listening to Mason talk about someone else's starting pitching.
This is true. This is fair. The guilds loved my start.
You're fucked.
All right, so he's not going to be my only starter for long. The question is,
I was going to say, are you double tapping here? What are you doing?
Yeah, the question is, do I double tap right here? So, I've got 3 starters in my queue. The only people in my queue. The question is, do I want to? Which 2 of these 3 do I want? Because I literally have them like back to back to back in my ranks.
Well, why don't we talk through it? Who do you got? Because you're only going to get 2 of them. You're not going to get the 3rd. Like, whoever you say is not going to come back to you.
Yeah, so I have Framber Valdez, Luis Garcia, and Chris Bassett.
Okay.
Back to back to back in my ranks. 31, 32, 33.
Okay.
I actually have a strong preference of the three.
Hmm.
But I'm
Well,
going to keep that secret.
Yeah, I won't make you tell me because you're obviously right around the corner and picking.
I too have a strong preference of the three, so we'll see how this goes.
Great, this is interesting. So I'm just trying to figure out in my head who I think has the better chance of racking up the most innings.
I'm going to DM Dave, who I think who my favorite is.
Okay, yeah, I'll tell you if it's the same or not. And then Woody also said he's watching us live, and he would love to hear our thought process for our next picks and what we're researching. So, okay, Matt. No, that's actually not the guy. So I'll tell you which one.
Well, I hope I take each one of your guys' guys. So
that would be funny.
My guess is I'm going to definitely take the one guy you guys aren't thinking of. So I'm going to let you guys talk for a minute while I think this out, okay?
Okay.
So, the advice from the chat, though, Cubby Knoll says, take whoever Spore would hate.
It's honestly good advice. Paul and I could not disagree more when it comes to starting pitching ranks. So I'm okay with that.
All right.
Dave, do you have the guy I sent you third?
What was that?
Do you have the pitcher I sent you? Do you have him third? I know this is riveting live radio.
No, I have your guy second.
Okay. Well, at least we both have the same guy third.
But honestly, there's one guy who I have above all three of the guys that Justin listed. So
I have a couple. I have three people above those three.
Okay. Wow. I don't like unlike you. I don't have rankings.
I'm kidding.
Yet,
I'm just screwing with you.
Dun, dun, dun.
I'm not drafting a pitcher. So.
Okay.
I'm not even drafting a pitcher this round.
We are probably drafting a pitcher next. So, but honestly, I don't think it'll matter who Justin takes as long as the other guy's still there.
I just want to make sure I'm not missing someone.
I have all sorts of tabs, and I have two screens in front of me, and I'm trying to scroll down on the live stream tab, like the draft board. I'm trying.
I know.
Why won't this
I'm
freaking
trying to
move?
do that too. I'm like, how do I scroll down? I can't do it. So Woody, let me just narrate a little bit. So in Justin's scenario right now, he has 5 hitters, 1 starter, and 1 closer, and his 1 starter is extremely risky.
Yes.
So right now, Justin is looking to add 2 starters who are going to give him very safe, reliable, solid numbers. Like, he can't afford to take a huge risk with this pick. He has to take 2 starters here who he feels like he can rely on for a good amount of innings, for solid ratios. So that's kind of what Justin's thinking right now.
Yeah, and I Chris Bassett is gonna get picked here, just because I feel really comfortable about how many innings I'm gonna get from Chris Bassett.
That was my guy. He's as safe as they come right here. It's the perfect pick for you, honestly.
And if he had not been hit with that comebacker, he would have been probably around 180 innings. So.
Question: a pitcher you're not talking about. This isn't like I don't really dig the ceiling of this pitcher, but of the people left, he seems safe to give you safe production. I just want to hear your guys' opinion on Ian Anderson. I'm not drafting him, so I can bring him up.
I have 37. Like he's
okay. I'm just
right
there.
Curious. I actually had just pulled up his player page to kind of look at him.
If you're hunting in this area for safety, he seems like a guy that would be at the top of the list. Near the top of it.
Yeah. Why did he only throw 128 innings last year, though?
Yeah, the shoulder inflammation is not great either. I get that. I don't know. I've every time I hear people break him down, I just don't like what I hear. And I could be wrong. Maybe he's better than I think he is, but he's not even a guy I'm considering here.
Yeah, he definitely doesn't. He's a few spots below Garcia and Framber for me, so I'm just gonna.
I get that. I was just, since you didn't bring him up, and he's a guy that I feel that no analysts talk about because I think he's fine where he's ranked, but he doesn't really have. I think everyone agrees that his floor is fine, but it is he doesn't have much of a ceiling. I don't think. I think
Your pod is the pod that I heard people talking about him on. I was just
Oh
listening
no,
to
because
you.
probably because I'm interested in it.
It was you and Pete.
Oh,
and,
well, yeah, we were
and
talking about
Clegg,
the NL
because
East.
Clegg brought him up. Yeah,
Well, we were
yeah,
talking
and-
about the NL East only, so we were kind of like pigeon-toed into that.
Okay, that's fair. But I remember everybody was in on him. Like Seymour loved him, and Clegg loved him. I don't remember if Pete loved him or not, but I know that those two loved him.
I think
And I was kind of like, really?
I just I don't know. I think he's fine. I mean, what is last year? You had 3.58 ERA, 1.23 WHIP. I think that's kind of what you get. And there's a spot for that. Hey, that was my guy.
I think there's a little downside. Yeah, you took both of our guys for what it's worth.
Okay. Yeah, I loved what Luis Garcia did last year, and
Yeah.
so I'm a big fan of Framber too. But someone in the chat's asking Pablo Lopez. I'm a little worried about the injuries with Lopez. He was a guy who's
three shoulder injuries in 4 years. 3.
He's
out.
a guy who
out.
a few weeks ago I had ranked as like a top, or pretty close to a top 25 guy that has dropped considerably in my ranks just as I look more and more into the injury history.
Yeah.
And then Cubby Knoll said Gallen versus those three. Again, the same issue.
Hey, Cubby, shut your hole, all right? I don't want to hear you talking about guys who I'm thinking about taking with my next pick, all right?
You're really thinking about taking Gallen?
Yeah, dude. I mean, wait,
you're giving me shit for
not
taking Gallen.
Close to DeGrom. This is not even close to DeGrom. He had a sprain.
Because he's going earlier.
It's a skeletal thing, so it's not something that's going to require. Like, did you see what he did from August on? He was back to being Zach Gallen again.
You should have a segment on your show every week where Dave talks about injuries called "It's a Skeletal Thing."
Yeah.
I do like Gallen quite a bit. Pablo Lopez, I think he'll still be great. I just think last year what he pitched 102 innings, 3.07 ERA, 1.12 WHIP. I think that's what you get this year.
Scroll down,
100 innings.
Scroll down.
100 innings of him being fantastic. That's the problem. Down. I think that's the worry. You just won't get the innings from him.
I think you're misremembering, Dave, because
that's up, down.
Hold on, god damn it, woman.
All right, what am I misremembering?
Zach Gallen went on the IL in May for a sprain of his UCL.
Yes.
Okay, so I mean,
that's not a tear. That's a sprain. Those are different
sprain things. Is a tear. No, a sprain is absolutely a tear.
I don't think this is the same type of injury.
It is exactly the same type of injury.
I don't think. No. It's forearm, right? It was forearm.
No, he broke the forearm in spring training. Then came back.
Can break it.
Yes, he got a fracture of his forearm. And then he came back, and then he missed time for a for an elbow sprain, which is exactly what you are concerned about DeGrom for.
No, it's not the same as DeGrom.
It is. It is absolutely the same.
It is not.
I mean, I can't really argue if you're not going to see the light, but it is. It is absolutely. Matt, please back me up here. Is a sprain a tear?
Well, yeah, by definition.
Yes, by definition, a sprain is a tear. And Zach Gallen had a sprain in his UCL. I'm looking at the article. So a minor sprain, which is the exact same thing Jacob DeGrom had.
Okay, DeGrom missed the entire second half. Gallen missed a month and then started looking like himself at the end of the season and finished the year. DeGrom never came back. They're not the same.
Yes, DeGrom is a much better pitcher.
Ugh.
They're definitely not the same. But to ignore the risk on Gallen or act as if there isn't risk on Gallen, I think it is.
Okay, it's fine to say.
Now you if you want to say that you're fine taking the risk because
in round 9 compared to round 2 or 3, yeah,
that's completely
part
agree.
of it. But I do think that DeGrom is still significantly more risk than Gallen. That is absolutely something. Like in a vacuum. Okay, all right.
I really don't. I mean, I think, but I do think you're getting such a discount with Gallen if you take him here, and you are on the clock. Matt just took Jared Walsh. There's someone I was considering, even though I didn't need offense. I just needed pitching. So
I figured if Jose Abreu is available in the 9th round, I'm going to take him.
there you go. Yeah, it's a great pick.
Like
so I like Walsh a lot.
Oh God, I hate. You know what is a first base? Like it's deep, and there was a few guys here that I would have liked around his that would have been fine, interchangeable for me somewhat. But man, I hate missing first base. And then you gotta chase not only a starter you're not thrilled about, but still a backup in a DC. I gotta lock down one of these guys I like. I just hate it when you like if there was a run where Walsh and like whatever, I won't name all the ones I like, but yeah, it get ugly. It get ugly.
There's a lot of first basemen still left that I like. I will say Walsh is my pick to bust because he's a lefty who did not do well against lefties last year, and those guys often end up getting platooned. Maybe he won't. Maybe it'll be a Brandon Lau situation where he'll suck versus lefties but still get playing time. But I'm a little concerned. This is generally what happens in these situations.
My question would be though, platoon with who?
Yep.
I honestly don't know. And people always do this where they're like, well, there's no one there who can like, trust me, if someone's sucking, they will find someone and insert them. Gavin Sheets was playing every day for the White Sox over Andrew Vaughn. So
yeah, I mean,
okay, I'm just
really
saying
poorly run.
people can come out of nowhere to play if someone is
Jared Walsh came out of nowhere, right? So,
right,
I mean,
right.
Like, you know,
a couple years ago. I loved Walsh.
Mm-hmm.
There's other guys that I prefer, and I think he might not bust, but he's the guy who I think has the highest chance of busting. Like just completely being like just a platoon, and he'll still be good against righties. Don't get me wrong, but I do worry that he could lose playing time versus lefties.
Yeah, I mean he could. Theoretically, I guess, but unless they re-sign like Albert Pujols or something. Someone in the chat is saying Taylor Ward potential had a 849 OPS against lefties.
I'm not really worried about. I mean, he hits so well, and he still had a 187 ISO versus lefties. I mean, the power is still there. It'd be one thing if he was like devoid of batting average, like he had like a sub 200 batting average, and he wasn't hitting for power. But the power is still there for him, just as much, really. So I mean, I wouldn't really worry about it. In was it 393 plate appearances versus righties? He had 19 home runs. And only 192 versus lefties, he had 10. So I mean, the power is there. So I think, if you're going to be weak on a platoon, hit around 200, but still get half your home runs, I think that's all right. It's not the worst. I'm just if he was weak versus lefties, like literally weak, that would worry me more.
I just have to say though, just in general, we have now made it through 8 or into the 9th round. In like the first 24 hours of this draft, like that, bravo, everyone in this league.
There's a lot of peer pressure. All right, when you've been on the clock for like 6 minutes, people start freaking the fuck out. They're like, "Why haven't you picked yet? Where are they? Someone text them. Where are they? Why haven't they picked? I don't understand what's going on."
I made picks from my dentist chair today.
You were a badass for that.
Yeah.
Or as John Fish would say, "Fucking legend."
Yeah. I made those picks from the dentist chair. Literally, she was like, "Here, I got to go get something." I was like, pulled out my phone and made sure to set my auto picks because I knew it was coming up. So, all right. So I think we have all agreed that Eric's team is the team we hate. What is the team you like other than yours, Dave?
It's Toby. Can you scroll? No, I'm gonna ask you to scroll up. But
yeah, of course you will.
Yeah, I mean, just getting he's doing the typical start with the 2 aces and then go hard into hitting. And he started with Scherzer and Wheeler, and then he got his closer with Diaz, and he got another one with Gallegos. And I like this usage of Gallegos because he got him when he fell, and it's not his closer one, so he's not depending on him. He still has Diaz as his closer one. He got.
Did you say you like this team?
Yeah.
Oh, I love Toby. I hate this team.
Really?
Oh, love Toby. Hate this.
Well,
you said he was hard on hitting, and he got Mondesi, JD, and LeMahieu. That's hard on hitting.
No. Typically, the style that a lot of people are doing these days is you start with 2 aces, you get your closer, maybe 2 closers, you get your catcher, and then you just watch. Toby's going to go like 12 straight hitters now. He's not going to go back to pitching because he's relying on Scherzer and Wheeler to be his anchors and to he'll get a whole bunch of streamers late because that's where the value is later in DCs is in the streaming pitching and the relievers. But at some point, the everyday hitters run out, and you don't want to take zeros. So he's going to be pounding hitting, and you can make up with pure volume what you don't have in per game numbers. So he might not have any of the huge mashers. I mean, he's still got Sal Perez and JD Martinez, but as long as he's not taking zeros, he's going to be passing a lot of people with that offense. So
as long as Mondesi stays healthy, because he is definitely highly invested.
I guarantee you he's going to be adding more steals. He's going to add all of the guys like Grossman and all those. Like he's going to add anybody who can get him 15 to 20 steals. He's going to take all of those guys. Even some of the guys were like 10 to 12. So that's how he drafts. I really like it. I think it's pretty much guaranteed to get you top 3 in a DC, assuming you don't massively whiff on the guys that you decide to take. So,
but you said this is kind of like where Govier said he liked Rob's team because he likes Rob.
No. I like these picks.
You like Mondesi and LeMahieu as 2 of his 3 hitters so far? I'm not counting Perez. I just count that as its own thing catcher.
I definitely like LeMahieu. I love Perez where he got him. Mondesi, obviously huge injury risk, but the way that Toby drafts is he leaves himself without steals. Like he has to get a whole bunch of guys to piece together. Now he has Mondesi. He's still going to get a bunch of those guys, but he's got that guy who can push him up over the top too. Like he can actually compete in steals if Mondesi can stay healthy for even 60% of a season. I mean, he doesn't need a lot of time to rack up the steals. So, I mean, I'm as much as I hate Mondesi, I'm very aware of what he can do.
I'd like to see what Toby does the rest of the way.
Yeah, I'm really intrigued to see where Toby goes the rest of the way because I could see
it's going to be 12 straight hitters for me. I guarantee you, it'll be like one pitcher in there.
I was texting with Toby prior to coming on here just because I wanted give him opportunity to come on and talk about his team, but he had some plans for tonight. I could see his offense going a lot of different directions. Like I could see him Mondesi stays healthy, LeMahieu bounces back. Sal Perez does what Sal Perez has been doing. JD Martinez is JD Martinez. I can also see like all of those guys have extreme downsides too. And I think my biggest issue with the way he's building his offense so far, like you said, he's going to hammer hitting. We know that that's how Toby's going to kind of react in these next few rounds. Is Sal Perez is still a catcher. Catchers get injured. He has racked up a ton of innings behind the plate over the course of his career. Would it surprise me if this is the year that he kind of, has a major injury, drops off, something like that? It would not. Mondesi is Mondesi, right? He, gets hurt, misses time. Batting average could be a problem. JD Martinez has been hurt in the past. He is like 64 years old, as much as I love him. DJ LeMahieu is coming off of an awful season. What if that's now what DJ LeMahieu is? Like, I think that this is, in some ways, got so much variance that I have a hard time seeing it all come together. I'm not saying it can't.
LeMahieu played through a core injury last year, and he got surgery.
I agree. I'm super high on LeMahieu this year. What I'm saying is, while I actually really kind of like what Toby's doing here, like I can see a lot of variance in his team. And the problem is it's all going to have to come together for him to win this league because there's some really strong teams so far.
All right.
And some really good players in the league.
I'm about to make my pick here, and it is an injury risk player. So you guys
all
ready?
Right. Let's see. Eovaldi. Okay. I actually don't mind that at all. Yeah, I don't mind that at all.
Yeah.
Again, he's one of those things where I think people throw around injury risk too much. If you're coming off a full season where there's no reason for me to believe that you have dialed down or looked weak down the stretch.
He is currently healthy. That's the best
I
can say.
He pitched a whole strong season and didn't trail down towards the end of it. I have no issue taking him ever.
No, yeah. Last year he was healthy. But literally pretty much every other year other than last year, he's been hurt, including the short season. So We're very aware of that injury risk, but
Eovaldi was a name on my list.
Okay.
I couldn't pair him with
and I agree with that.
Yeah,
I don't think he was good for you. I think Bassett was a much better, and even Garcia were better pairs.
So a question from the chat. I hope the guy is still watching over on Twitch. And I love his handle, Cheeky Knits.
What is that?
I have no idea, but it seems funny. Thoughts on Duvall in round 9 for saves?
Camilo Doval.
Yeah, and I would normally say no way, but what just happened in the 9th round and what has happened throughout this entire draft is closers are being pushed way up. This happened in the draft last year.
By the way, baseball pods just picked Gregory Soto.
And this is what I'm
picked him in the 9th.
And this is what I'm referencing. The price on saves in this draft are absolutely insane.
And I know why Chris did this, because he really trusts Greg Jewett, and Greg's great. I know that Greg is very, very high on Gregory Soto, who I took in the Arizona, or in the first pitch Arizona. I am pretty far off Soto at this point.
And Greg and I disagreed on this when he was on the pod a few weeks ago. I do not buy in on Soto.
Why do neither of you? I mean, I understand that it's the Tigers and they're going for it and they could easily sign someone. I mean, they are the only team that has come out from any questionable situation, and their manager actually came out and said Gregory Soto is our closer for 2022. He literally said that. So you just like total bullshit. But I mean, the actual manager said. I mean, he didn't have to say it. He did say it though.
I think he's your closer. I think he's your closer until he's not your closer. I mean,
you just don't think he'll hold the job.
I don't think the Steelers are good enough to hold it. Yeah, that's really what it comes down.
We're talking about a guy with an almost 15% walk rate. I'm not. I do not buy this.
I mean, they obviously can't rely on Fulmer's health, and don't get me wrong, Soto will get saves. I hate the Steelers.
I think he starts the year as the closer.
Yeah,
my guess is by halfway through the season, one, if they're competitive, they will trade for someone or go get someone. Like Probably this is not. I don't think they're going to be necessarily competitive enough to make that move. But I also think like this is a team that has rotated closers in and out over the last few years because they don't have that guy. And I don't think anything's changed. I don't think they have that guy. And I think that is going to maybe that means Soto just keeps the job for the season because they just don't have anybody else. But man, you can't walk 15% of the batters you face in the 9th inning. That is not going to end well.
Yeah, and I love Camilo Doval's skills. It's a situation where I don't want to be in the 9th round taking a closer because those guys, we don't feel good about their job security. Like those guys are the guys who are getting pushed up because they either were closing at some point last year or ended the year as closer, and people are assuming that they keep the job, and that doesn't work that way. So generally, I think you stay away from those guys.
I think it does work that way a lot of the time. Hold on. I think it does work that way a lot of the time. I don't think it's going to work that way with the Giants because the reason Doval had the job was because Jake Mcgee wasn't healthy. And I think that is going to be different coming in. I think, I mean, Kapler absolutely loves Tyler Rogers. Like, I think all three of those guys are going to factor in. Will one emerge? There's a potential that one does. But Jake Mcgee was the guy almost all season long until the injury, and there's no reason to think they might not go back to him. At best, I think that is a timeshare. And at worst,
I feel like you're agreeing with me, but you came off as sounding like you're disagreeing with me.
No, I agree. I agree with your take on this situation. I don't agree with the premise of, in general. I think in general, especially when teams go to the playoffs and hand the guy a ball, that's the guy they're going to trust. We saw this with the Nationals. It ended up backfiring tremendously. But who did they give the ball to in the World Series? They gave it to Daniel Hudson. Then everybody's like, Tanner Rainey. They're doing it again this year. Tanner Rainey. And they went back to the guy they gave the ball to the 9th at the end of the season and when the games counted in the World Series, and Daniel Hudson. Now, Daniel Hudson then fucking sucked. And so he lost the job. They gave it to someone else. But Like, this is the reason why I'd rather have Finnegan, because I think Finnegan's the one who's going to start the year with the role. He may not keep it, but he's going to start the year with the role.
I have no idea. I mean, he could. It's a hodgepodge situation. By the way, I think it's interesting that our buddy Zach, who was very much kind of adopted my risk averse strategy, has now gone Buxton, Bobby Witt,
Yeah.
and now Christian Yelich.
I'm hoping he jumps back in here. Cubby Knowles says, no bias here. I think Dave's start is tits.
That's right.
I do like Dave.
Love you, Cubby.
I'll yeah. Love Cubby. I like Dave's start a lot too. And as much as it pains me to say, one, because I don't like being nice to Dave, and two, we have a bet. We're running back our bet from last year. I really like Dave's start. If I'm going to pick a team other than mine that I really like, it's Dave's team, and I'm assuming it's because Jake is right.
Yeah, right. No, we had to agree on every pick. That was kind of like, and like he's tried to give in to me, I've tried to give in to him, and we're like, no, like let's just agree on a pick. Like we can come to a consensus here. I can get other guys in other drafts, but in general, we can figure this out and come to an agreement. And we've agreed on everybody. It just hasn't always been easy.
I really like Matt's team too. I'm not trying to suck up to you guys because you're on, because I have no problem telling you when I think you're stupid. But I really like what you're doing here. I really can't. I mean,
fill
Romano,
the infield, grab a catcher, closer, and fill the infield. The rest of it's gravy from then on.
Romano's a guy I am a little worried about that the Blue Jays will look to address, like an upgrade there.
Yeah, me too. I just like him as the 10th closer. I'm with you. Yeah. I do agree that concern. But look at the guys who went after him. I'm very happy with Soto or with Romano in the 7th rather than what I would have had to deal with after that.
And like I said, like when I went on auto draft for those picks, at the with the 5-6 the 6-7 turn, I had 5 guys in my queue. The 5th guy was Romano, so but he would have been my second closer. So, but yeah, I like your team overall. There is a question from the chat about Matt Davis's team.
Okay,
and what we think of
Anthony Gialdi. All right,
yeah. What we think of Matt Davis's team.
Scroll up.
So, Matt Davis started off Acuna at pick 9, Josh Hader in the 2nd round, Sandy Alcantara at in the 3rd round. Another name that I pronounce differently every time. Alvarez, who I think has been the steal of the draft, or at least the first major steal of the draft.
It's up there. Yeah.
Max Fried in the 5th, Wander Franco in the 6th, Abreu in the 7th, and then Giancarlo Stanton in the 8th. Man,
there's one glaring issue, right?
Right.
If the Braves aren't letting Acuna run, he has 0 stolen bases on the board.
Yeah, that's exactly what Justin and I said. Yeah,
this is something I mentioned earlier, that
he needs a Miles Straw pick right here immediately. Like if he gets Miles Straw, that instantly makes him a contender.
Yeah, I think his biggest issue is stolen bases. This is hard.
He does also already have 3 outfielders, though. I don't love getting your 4th outfielder already in round 9.
Yeah, I mean, you can obviously, use your utility to place one of them if you end up getting more. But this is, I think, the prime example of a draft in which I love a lot of the pieces. I don't like how they necessarily fit together.
Yeah.
I really like Alcantara, and I like Fried. I really kind of wish he had a better top ace for some reason. Maybe I'm wrong on that. But
I also just don't love. I think Alcantara is fine because he gives you the innings for sure. I just don't love why 9th pick with why take Acuna there? Like there's so many. If you scroll up a little bit, there's so many other guys on the board at 9 that he could have taken. Again, you're not okay. There you go.
Eovaldi said this is a standalone. He doesn't need a ton; just needs to find the middle of the pack. But with the positions, at least the starting positions he has left, I mean, if you really have to, you're not. It's not a given that you're going to get the Robbie Grossmans of the world. You'd have to get Ahmed Rosario, like you said, Miles Straw. You have to reach for a fourth outfielder.
Yeah.
Middle infield, second base, not a ton of non-error. There's not a lot of speed on the board that wouldn't drag you down in other areas.
Let's also talk about the fact that this is the third team we've talked about that is speed deficient and is really going to need to attack it. Now, look, I think he's got some really. I think he's got some really good pieces. Like I said, I really like a lot of the pieces.
None of us are bashing his team. We're just saying if Acuna goes wrong, it could be an issue, right?
And it's a matter of will Matt do the job he needs to do to get those, because what he needs is a lot of glue pieces right now. He needs those guys that are going to connect all these guys together to make the picture work right. Matt's obviously a fantastic player in his own right. So
go. Sorry, guys, got to dip out.
Great seeing you, Matt.
Good to see you, Matt. Thanks for coming on, buddy.
So Matt Davis and Matt Williams, both very, very good players. I have no doubt he's going to be able to figure out how to get enough speed in case Acuna does not run as much as maybe we're used to. I don't necessarily have a problem with taking Acuna. I think taking Hader where he took him, and I know that Simeone had just taken Hendricks, and probably those two picks going as early as it did have caused a lot of the panic at closer. I think God, I'd love his team right now if he had gone like Acuna, Betts.
Oh no.
I guess.
I know you don't like that risk and get two injured outfit. No.
I don't think Betts is that injured.
Why Acuna? You could have taken Tucker. You could have taken Bryce Harper. You could have taken, Machado. I don't know. Or you could have started with your ace, and then and then you. I guess you could take Hader where you took Hader if you have to have that closer. But then in the third round, then you can take you can start on your offense. I don't know. We don't know. Acuna could miss a month. He could miss 2 months. I have no idea. And like you said, he could come back and not be aggressive on the bases.
Yes, that's my big concern is what is the team going to want to do? What does he want to do in terms of stolen bases? When he comes back, especially the team. The team could easily say, "Yeah, you're not running right now. We're not. We don't want you stopping and starting. We don't want you." Making those kind of moves, and he'll listen, because I think if it's left up to him, he's gonna, he's one of those guys that's gonna play hard, right? So right. I'm not as
it's like Tatis, right? They play the game really, really hard, and it's really difficult to trust them with not playing all out and then getting hurt. They have very things that could hurt themselves, re-injure themselves again. So. Why in the first round? Why are you going to do that? I don't know.
Yeah, I love Acuna.
Sure,
I was really hoping to get Acuna at some point this season. I can't take him in the middle of the first. I don't understand. I do understand, but I don't know that I want to take that kind of risk that early. Especially with there's so many good hitters, like you mentioned, Tucker.
Bryce Harper. Albies, Machado.
I would take Guerrero. I'd take Guerrero over.
Yeah,
over.
I would too.
This is also the reason I don't want to be in that part in the back.
No, that's
the draft. I really don't want to be in the
back. It really is the worst. Once those aces are off the board, Burns and Cole. I don't want anything to do with the first round. Honestly, I want to be in that top half of the first round. I want to be at the very end. And kind of do what Toby did, and get a couple aces and build that way.
I do think if I'm in the back half of the draft, that may be the time I do a pocket aces. I'm not a big pocket aces guy, but I think this is a really good year for pocket aces where you can just double tap and then just crush hitting. Because there's so much deep pitching this year that I feel this is, if there was a year to do pocket aces, and I haven't been a big fan of it for myself. I know for other people they've employed it. Toby, being the prime example of employing it really well. Phil,
Right.
another guy who's employed pocket aces really well in the past.
Well, he does it on DCs because, like I said, they like to get those
Mhm.
two anchors that they can rely on. Then they then they get their closer. They hitting hard, and then they get their streaming starters that are going to detract from their ratios. But they're hoping that those two early aces keep their ratios competitive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want to say that in the main event league I was in with Phil last year, where he finished, I think, third overall. He did it
Yeah.
there too.
Yeah, yeah. And Rob is of the same, he
Mhm.
talks with Phil. They do the same thing. So, seeing Rob take a lot of the guys, like I knew he was going to take Cease. I knew he was going to take Ketel Marte. So like I know exactly how they're going to build, and it works. As long as you do it correctly, it can work.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think this is a year where it may be even easier to do than years past. So I'm not going to be surprised to see it. We saw two different pocket aces so far in this draft. Simeon. Oh no, sorry, no. Simeon did not do pocket aces. He did AC.
I can't see the first round, but I'll take your word for it.
He did Woodruff Hendricks.
Okay.
So Toby was the only pocket aces. I just saw two yellow and assumed it was pocket aces. I'm gonna call it. Simeon did AC Ducey.
AC Ducey.
Yeah, he took the ace and then he took a closer in the second round.
Why is closer Ducey?
I don't know. What I mean, what would closer be?
I have no idea. I was just curious. It sounds good.
So J Hook's asking us of the teams that drafted in the middle, which team do you like best so far?
Can you scroll up a little bit, Justin? I gotta see
round one. I can absolutely scroll up again for you.
All right, let's see. So, are we considering like 5 through 10 the middle, or like 7, 8, or how? I don't know how.
I'm gonna say let's take out the first 5 and the last 5. So
6 through 9.
I'm gonna say 6 through 9.
Okay.
I think it's Zach. And I don't necessarily like some of the stuff he's done, but I really like the start with the Corbin Burns, Teoscar, Trevor Story. Like I think that sets himself up really well. I'm a little concerned about what he's done a little bit lately with Buxton and then Bobby Witt and then Yelich. That seems like a lot of risk. And then even Corey Knebel, like I know that the Phillies have said like that he's their guy entering the season. I don't know that they should be entering the season with them as their guy. And I feel like they are a prime example of a team that could trade for Kimbrel. So I think he's kind of gone a little astray recently, but of those
4,
I like Rob's team too.
Yeah, I think overall I might slightly prefer Rob's to Zach's. But I mean, definitely, again, I feel bad because I love Eric, but Cross, I hate his team.
And that's a hard part because there are certain aspects of Cross's team that I really, really like. I know you're not in on Trout. I'm not in, comparatively speaking, to the market.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I'm not. I mean, he's not like crossed off my list, but I'm not.
I think taking him. I don't love it. For me, it's the rotation.
But it's also it's the combination. Yeah, the rotation is the biggest thing. Starting with Bieber and Flaherty is way too much risk. But also adding on that to Trout and Seager and then Melanson.
If he had done Giolito and Flaherty, I'd be feeling a lot different about that pitching staff.
Yeah, like if he switched Trout to Teoscar and switched Bieber to Alcantara, then I would, and you could even take Flaherty at that point, I guess.
Yeah. But yeah, the combination of Seager, Bieber, Flaherty, Trout, Mark Semien taking a step back, though, like you mentioned earlier, he got him at a much better ADP than where he's been going.
Yeah.
That's, I think he could be in some trouble here.
I think Zach and Rob both have solid teams. Neither is my favorite, but I think if I had a middle pick, It's not terrible. I mean, Zach still had Burns on the board. I like Burns and Soto still in the first round. Ohtani's tough to build around. Like you said, you wanted to see how Rob would build around it. It's so tough to build around a utility-only player.
I think Ohtani's one of those guys where, like, from a straight value perspective, I really like. Yeah. I have not yet had the balls, and here is Zach.
There he is.
I have not yet had the balls to draft Ohtani.
Yeah, Zach, what do you think about drafting Ohtani? Can you figure out a way to draft around him?
This is like Potapalooza. You guys are still on here. I was surprised. Yeah, I've had him. I've drafted him once, and it's been very difficult to draft to build.
Yeah,
like I found it challenging.
Yeah, I just don't know that as much as I love him, I don't know that I want to play around with it this year.
He does give you speed, like that. It's not like he's just a power only guy. So that is good, but man, utility only. It's in a 15 teamer. That's so tough to build around. I just think if I'm going to build around Ohtani, it's going to be a 12. But I just ideally won't have to do that.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I mean, give me Tucker, give me Harper.
Since we have Zach back, talk to us about the Yelich pick, because all of a sudden you went from this team I really, really like that like really seems solid, and now you go Buxton, Bobby Witt Jr., Yelich, where it's like shoot the moon type team.
Well, it's not an overall, so obviously you got to shoot the moon. No, I don't know. I'm honestly, like, I know this board's going to be displayed, so I'm just taking what's at the bottom of what's at the top of the ADP list. I don't want to give away my guys. I don't want Yelich. He's okay. Like, he'll fine. I'll
He's throwing the draft in his own tournament.
I don't want
Amazing.
I mean, welcome to Zach.
I'm sorry if you're mildly annoyed that I'm not really giving away my guys by ruining my team.
This is amazing. I think it's fantastic.
That's what you're doing? Okay.
Yeah, right. This is amazing. Like, this is game theory like we've never seen before. I'm going to publicly draft a bad team.
Wow.
Just so that way it throws off my competition. It is Zach is playing three-dimensional chess while we're playing checkers. You got
to look at the buy-in, and you got to look at the future buy-ins. It's a math equation about investment. It's basically a tutorial on investment.
You know what's funny? Even despite that, and it makes sense. I can't do it, man. I couldn't do it. I could not.
Oh, I knew you weren't taking Yelich.
No, obviously not. But I couldn't do that, man. I can't take guys that I don't believe in.
Shame on me.
What the buy-in.
Eovaldi, shame on me. Why? Because I'm not wearing a mask on my Zoom.
Oh God.
I want to talk real quick about Drew Morris's team.
Okay. Yeah.
So
we love Drew, by the way. Dude only comes around like once in a blue moon, but love Drew. He came back, did one podcast with me, and then went into the abyss again. We haven't talked.
Very sneaky. He's very, very sneaky.
He is.
And that's what I feel.
And he
won.
What I
feel about his team. Yeah,
he won. He won season 1 when I wasn't there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He was the inaugural winner of the Battle of the Pods.
Yeah.
And he's putting together a really sneaky team here. Kyle Tucker in the first, fell to him at pick 11. He snapped him up. Machado in the second, which I think is a very, very solid pick, especially with the lack of depth at third base. Yeah. So the surprise pick was taking Real Muto over Sal Perez, but I don't have a problem with that necessarily. Then Robbie Ray, Tommy Edman, Manoah. He's already got his second catcher in Yasmani Grandal and Tyler Mahle. He, like other people in the draft, has an issue in terms of saves. But again, standalone, maybe he's just deciding to punt it down the road.
Who does he have? Who are his closers? I can't see the board.
He does not have a closer.
Oh, he does not have a closer.
No, so he.
I was talking to some people in the Battle of the Podcast Part B, and
Graham?
A couple of people there. Yeah, Graham and Venasio and a whole bunch of people. Right? I talked to a few. I think more than one person said they're going to punt saves.
Yeah, I'm not going to be surprised if that's what maybe Drew's doing here, but
Could be.
I think it's a really sneaky, solid team. Like I think it. He's definitely got some really good offense there. He's got power, he's got speed, he's got batting average.
Yeah, I like
And
it a lot.
I like all three of his starters, even though he doesn't have a, quote unquote ace, unless depending on what you think of Robbie Ray.
I mean, Robbie Ray and Alek Manoah are both capable of providing ace numbers, so
absolutely.
I think it works.
And I'm a huge taller Molly guy, so. I really like.
He's got his two catchers.
Mm-hmm.
He's got plenty of power. Edman gives him enough speed with between Edman, Real Muto, Machado can steal some, Tucker can steal some. It's really just saves, can get a couple saves. Like if he can get middle of the pack in saves, he's probably pretty good.
Who do you guys prefer between Molly and Eovaldi? Because they had pretty similar numbers last year.
Yeah, I think.
Does the NLDH sort of tie break it for you?
I prefer Eovaldi with just based on stuff, but in terms of health, Molly is obviously much less of a health risk. So
my hope is that Molly gets traded out of Cincinnati.
It's a rough place to pitch.
I think if he were to get traded out of Cincinnati, I have Molly ahead in my rankings, but that's largely based on health history. A little bit. You've got to be worried with Eovaldi's health, just because of how violent his motion is, his past health issues. So, that being said, like I really like both pitchers. So,
I've been in like a bunch of drafts. I'm in a bunch of drafts right now, and just seeing the trends, you can see them like that. You won't even be reflected in ADP yet because I'm in I think 6 DCs simultaneously right now. The gap between Luis Castillo and Tyler Molly is slowly shrinking. Castillo's falling like a stone in these drafts.
I'm surprised by this. I really thought people would latch onto what Castillo did in the second half. His former. He was a second round pick last year. Like, I'm really surprised to see him drop in this draft.
He was a second round pick by some people. I would never have taken him there.
Who?
Castillo.
Yeah. I didn't either.
I've never been on board with that.
I was fading in completely.
He fell after Snell in this draft, and I think he's fallen after Snell in a few drafts.
I'm taking Snell over Castillo. I'm taking McClanahan over Castillo. I might even take Shane Baz over Castillo. And I don't even know when Shane Baz is going to pitch.
Yeah, I'm a little worried about Shane Baz being held down in the minor leagues for a little while. So that's my big.
But in a DC though, I'm
in DC you can make that gamble. I guess,
yeah, because you can start other guys.
What is the over/under of total leagues by Zach for 2022? I love having Zach on because it makes me feel better.
You got to set it around. You got to set around 100, right? It's got to be right in that area.
Well, what are you counting? Do you count best ball leagues? Those are
all.
No, I don't think you count best ball, but I think you count.
Oh yeah, you do. You count all best balls, all drafts, all leagues.
Well, I don't do a ton of best balls, so 100. I didn't do 100.
What do you set it on, Zach?
I didn't do 100 last year.
You did like what 58 last year?
Like on the NFBC, like that was really, really close to like 58. I think something like that, real close. And then I probably had around 70 altogether last year, if you count 70. Everything. Yeah.
And if NFBC starts allowing you to mirror your fab bids, how many leagues are you going to be in?
Well, I did 13 fab leagues last year. I'd probably do like 20-ish.
Okay.
It's not bad. J-Hook says Boz gets held down, 0 impact during the cold months. Castillo, negative impact during the cold months.
Yeah,
that's actually an interesting point. I didn't think of it like that. Especially because you will be playing Castillo, even though he seems to struggle early on in the season.
I just don't trust Castillo. I really don't.
I don't either.
I don't trust his reaction to when he's sucking. He's like, yeah, whatever. He starts laughing about it. I don't know. I don't think he's that competitive of a guy. I don't think he cares. I don't know. I probably won't draft Castillo anywhere, even despite him falling as far as he did.
Yeah. He was definitely not in consideration for me where he went. So
nope, ditto.
Thought about it, but yeah, it wasn't a big thought.
All right, guys. Well, with that, I'm gonna wrap it up. because my jaw's hurting pretty bad at this point, and I'm pretty done with today.
Fair enough.
I want to thank Zach for coming on, but also thank you for hosting this league. It's just a ton of fun. It's a really great group of analysts and good group of people in general. We have a lot of fun in the chat, so I appreciate you inviting me and hosting it. So that way we could all do
I
that.
appreciate you guys playing. Like what was it, 2 years ago? I didn't even expect anyone to say yes to me. So honestly, like I appreciate you guys playing. This is awesome. I just want to play, and this is what's fun.
I can't wait to see how you finish out this team now. Like, absolutely can't wait. Like,
it's going to be rough. I'm just going to take everyone at the top of the ADP board.
This is amazing. I really want. Zach's going to win.
Son of a bitch. Just do it. No, you know what you should do? You should take every stolen base guy just to punish all the teams that are hoping.
Is Miles Straw gone?
No, Miles Straw's still there.
He's still there.
Yeah.
He was. Oh, that was a huge mistake by me. I missed
Yeah.
it.
I mean, if you're looking to troll, that's how you troll.
I didn't even notice that he was still like available.
Yeah.
Because you could murder some teams right now that are speed deficient.
Oh yeah, because a lot of teams are really planning on taking guys like that, and there's a lot of them out. I mean, there's a couple guys out there like that, so you could really make it.
Was it the guy in the $1,000 DC that took like 18 outfielders or something like that? Did you see this board that somebody?
Was that Dusty that posted that?
Yeah, it was Dusty that posted it.
I don't think that was $1,000.
Oh, it was a $400 DC. That's right.
He's muted. I don't see Dusty stuff.
Oh, so somebody in a $400 DC, and I didn't see exactly how he finished, but he pretty much took like 18 outfielders and not enough starting pitchers with like 2 or 3 rounds.
He had the bare minimum starting pitchers you could field, and that included Ohtani.
Yes, the only way he was going to be able, with like 2 or 3 rounds left, the only way he was actually going to be able to field a team was by moving Ohtani to pitcher and taking 2 pitchers with his last 2 picks. I'm just going to try to bring this up.
So
I think we have next week's guest lined up, Justin. All right, what was that, Zach?
I got a question for you based on hearing that, Dave.
Yeah.
Who do you think has the better chance of winning their league? That guy that we just described, or Eric Cross?
I hear you say that. I'm just gonna abstain from answering.
That's so funny. I can't wait for Eric to listen to this podcast.
I love you, Eric. I really do. Like, you're one of my favorite people. At First Pitch Arizona, Eric and I were just like on the same level. Like, I don't know, some people you just like you get each other, and that was Eric for me.
I'm going to stop sharing our draft, and I'm going to try to share this this tweet from Dusty. I don't know if it's going to come up well because I've got to like do the picture. It's not going to come up well on here, but. If you can kind of look on the left,
the far left team.
The picture,
he's got 3 utility players.
Yeah, well, one of them's Ohtani.
Okay,
but he only had 6 starting pitchers, and he had 0 catchers.
So wait, so they legally let you field a team with 0 catchers and only 6 pitchers?
The team wasn't complete.
Oh,
yeah, the team wasn't complete. There was about 4 or 5 rounds left.
Okay.
The 4 rounds left, 6 total pitchers, no catchers. So he would have had to take 2 catchers and 2 starting pitchers, and then used Ohtani all year, the rest of the way. So
I mean, donate your money, man. Like, there's a lot of good causes out there.
I mean,
if you're looking to burn $50.
It's clearly that the guy did not understand the format, that he couldn't pick guys up. But way to learn on a $400 DC.
Like, it's 400. Oh,
yeah,
Jesus Christ!
I don't even play those. I'm too cheap to play those.
Zach's like, I can't play 70 leagues at $400 a pop. I can only do that at 150.
Yeah, unreal. Like, I when I saw it, I just laughed so hard.
Oh, that's painful to see.
Well, you know what? That is a good cause. Like Derek does good work. Derek Butcher.
That's true.
Like,
He does.
if you're gonna might as well donate to him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah.
Completely agree.
NFBC is a great cause, no question.
Yeah. They're a great charity.
They are.
They do so much for the community.
Donate to my bank account, please.
Yeah, exactly.
I donated a lot in 2020. Like they're a great charity.
I've been donating for a couple years.
Zach has seriously had one of the biggest turnarounds of anybody I've ever seen. Like in terms of going from just a horrendous drafter to really,
I think
really
we
good.
we haven't mentioned this on the pod, but I publicly need to congratulate Zach for winning it overall.
Absolutely.
Which pretty amazing. Like way more impressive than Dave's overall in the Earth League.
For sure. I would agree.
I mean, just a stellar season last year, Zach. I'm looking forward to seeing how you're going to follow it up.
Me too.
So obviously, this league in general is not going to.
Obviously not. Yeah.
Yeah, up there, but congratulations. It's a pretty awesome accomplishment to take down an overall.
In spite of FTN downplaying it and not mentioning it.
Yeah, they got enough shit for that. I was mostly joking. I don't really care. Like
I know. And it was the same thing for me. Like with Earth, I'm like, yeah, technically it's an overall, but it's like 5 leagues. It's not like it's And
how many leagues is was the online auction?
There's
it's
like
not a ton, but it's more than that.
500 teams.
Yeah,
around
500
there.
teams, pretty impressive though. Still, I mean,
it was like the same. It's actually a larger field than the Phil auction that he won, except his was way more money.
I was gonna say, I think when Jake won the overall, I think it was, and I could be wrong here, but I think it was only like 250 or something like that.
That sounds about right, because I think
it wasn't a lot.
Phil's was I think in the 400s, but mine was in like the 500s. But like his was like a way higher buy-in, obviously. So bigger prize.
Right. Well, yeah, and he got the league prize and all that stuff too. So it's not just the overall prize that he gets.
Yeah.
Right.
Still, do you still get the big check though? Because
no,
you don't get a big check.
No,
That's
bullshit.
Pay
money. I would actually pay money for that big check, so I can just put it as my profile picture.
Yeah. I want the big check.
Eric Cross is awake. He just took Zach Gallen.
Oh, there we go.
I'm surprised
another injury risk guy.
Listen, that was a good pick though. I like that pick there.
No, it's not with the construction of his team.
That's fair. That is fair. But I
thought you would take Gallen, Justin.
No.
Was that who's been taking Gallen all the time? Is it Bubba?
Yeah, not with the injury risk.
Okay, so because I'm tracking people. So
I mean, in this point in the draft, it's okay. It's fine.
Hold on. So let me ask you this, Zach. Do you think the Gallen is as big of an injury risk as Jacob deGrom?
No.
Why not?
Because I think Jacob deGrom is, as far as I'm concerned, injured currently.
Yeah, I still think. I think that's fair. It's fair. Yeah, but I mean, Gallen never had his UCL repaired either, so I'm a bit worried that,
Yeah, I know. I'm not worried about Gallen.
Okay, I am.
No, I'm not worried.
No,
you're not worried. Okay,
he's saying he is worried, but not to the degree of deGrom, which is the same thing I told you. Yeah,
which is fair. Which is fair.
Like I'm more worried.
And I actually agree. I'm more worried about deGrom than I am about Gallen. I just think deGrom's upside is
the range.
Obviously the upside is more.
And that's why
I would draft deGrom before I draft Gallen.
Sure.
Okay.
And I think Gallen would have more injury. Like I'm more worried about Gallen's health than Eovaldi, for example.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
I think Eovaldi's safer than Gallen. I think
they're close.
I think so too. They're close, but yeah.
Eovaldi's injury history, but granted, I think Eovaldi's probably healthier right now, which matters more. But he has such an extensive injury history. It's tough for me. I think I'd rather have Gallen based on injury history a little bit, but I like Eovaldi's stuff better.
Yeah.
So they're close.
Well, guys, I do actually have to wrap it up now. Follow Zach on Twitter at
Jacob deGrom UCL right now.
Jacob deGrom UCL. I couldn't remember if you changed it another time since changing it to that.
It'll be different tomorrow. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, exactly. But go listen to the Draft Champions podcast.
Just had Phil Dussault on.
Yeah, just had Phil Dussault.
Always a good podcast to listen to for sure.
follow Dave on Twitter at RunDMCD. Follow me on Twitter at Justin Mason FWFB. Appreciate everybody sticking with us. We'll get back to our regular content next week. I'm sure we'll bring up what Dave and I have done so far in the draft, but we'll get back to our regular kind of stuff next week. Thanks, guys.
See you guys in the draft room.
All right, let's do it.